So I'm Mark. Welcome everyone to our Cohort 5 Demo Day. Really excited to see what's in store for us today. I think it's going to be a fantastic morning of pitches. Welcome to you in the room here in our hub in Aberdeen and to those of you who are joining online from around the world. So today marks the end of Cohort 5 of our TechX Clean Energy Accelerator. It's the culmination of 15 weeks of super intense work by our fantastic 12 startup companies. And you will hear from them each shortly when they pitch to us today. So the mission of the Net Zero Technology Centre is to develop and deploy new technologies for a clean energy and net zero future. According to the International Energy Agency, net zero by 2050 will require huge leaps in clean energy innovation. In fact, half of the projected abatement in CO2 emissions by 2050 will come from technologies that have yet to be commercialized. This, of course, is a tremendous global challenge, but it also presents a massive opportunity. And much of this innovation will need to come from startups. Startups that have yet to be created by founders who have yet to have that amazing idea, and by founders who don't yet know that they will start a world-beating company. Future founders who are at university, and those who are still at school and wondering which career to choose. We've all been there. And where will that world-changing idea come from? Will it be a flash of genius on a long walk? Or will it come in a laboratory? Or will it perhaps be more incremental? A series of realizations and discoveries over time? No one can know. But what we do know is that a nurturing environment plays a huge part in human creativity and the process of coming up with brilliant new ideas and inventions. And that is why programs such as the TechX Clean Energy Accelerator are so important, providing the support to allow new ideas to develop and flourish. And many of you who have provided that support are here today in the room and online. And I would like to thank you all so very much for the time and support you have given. Of course, the innovation we need will also come from startups who are developing their technologies right now, such as the ones in front of you today. I can't wait to hear them pitch, and I'm sure you are really excited too. So without any more delay, I would like to hand over to Edward and Law, your hosts for today. Edward and Law.
Thank you very much, Mark, for this introduction. So are we feeling ready, comfortable, excited? Yes.
I think it's time we start this year's TechX Demo Day 2023. Let's go. So I'm Edward.
And I'm Laura, and together we've been leading the TechX program, and what a year it's been.
It has been intense. From hundreds of applications to an intense finalist pitch day to 15 weeks of sessions, meetings, business development, and a few late nights in the Irish bars. We have seen how far these businesses have come over this time.
Yes, and pretty much like today, the whole program has been quite a hybrid event with 3 weeks in person in sunny Aberdeen for our pioneers and all the rest online sessions in between these weeks. And actually, that's the perfect time to say hello to our online audience. So everybody watching us on LinkedIn Live, welcome to this event. And that's, yeah.
And hopefully they're joining from all around the world. So bonjour, welcome in, marhaba. Hopefully they're having a fantastic time joining in for today's event. Now, we do have a 2-in-1 special for you today, everyone. I hope you're enjoying that, because we're starting off with our demo day, packed full of fantastic pitches, and later on we're going to have our graduation too. So from about now until about 1 p.m, it's our demo day. So they're going to be putting up their pitches, telling you all about their businesses, and then we're going to have a short break just after that. And then we're going to go into our graduation where we'll find out who is going to win some fantastic prizes. So we have our pitch of the day, we have our TechX Performance Prize, and from our strategic partners, our best net zero impact prizes with a fund of over £200,000 to be given out today.
Wow,
So good prizes.
Wait for that. So, but first of all, we'll hear all the pioneers pitching their technology to you here. And the first 6 pioneers will be pitching. Then we'll break for a Q&A panel. And that's a good time to remind all the audience online, this is an interactive session. You must have right now a code on your screens displaying. That's for the Mentimeter. You enter the code, go on mentimeter.com and post your question, and we will ask it during the Q&A panel. Same, in the room here, if you have any question, we'll have few microphone runners. So just put your hand up, we'll come, we'll bring a microphone, and then you'll be able to ask your question to pioneers.
Oh, so they're on the spot, pitching and questions today. Now, after a short break, once we've heard all those pitches, around 12 o'clock, after we've heard the first 6, we'll then hear the second 6 and another round of Pioneer Q&A questions. And then just after 1 p.m, for those in the room, we'll head upstairs and you're going to have some lunch with our pioneers to get to know them a little bit longer. And voting will open at that point for Pitch of the Day. So remember, much like on TV shows, you cannot vote until you have seen all of the pitches. So
That's
keep that in
only
mind.
fair. That's only fair. Exactly like a TV show. And don't forget, if you want to know a little bit more about all these technologies, all what you need to do is go on the Net Zero Technology Center website, and as well as our LinkedIn page, where we have a digital brochure explaining a little bit more about each of the technologies.
All right. Are we ready? We feeling ready? Should we get this show on the road?
Let's do it!
Okay, I have the perfect way to introduce our next company, so let me just get ready here. All aboard the good ship TechX!
Oh, if only it was hydrogen powered.
Hopefully so.
So there is a reason for my colleague wearing that hat. It's not just bonkers. Is that our first pioneer of the day? They actually have quite a mariner background. So co-founder brothers, Neil and Mike, have grown up in a family that used to work in the Navy. And Eddie from their team is actually quite a sea background, a seafarer himself. And that makes only sense because their technology involves developing a hydrogen powertrain for unmanned surface vessels.
And what a 15 weeks it has been for Aqua Ocean. They have been dialing in from South Africa to London, but equally, they have grown their team from 5 to 20 in just 15 weeks. So I think it's time we get going.
All right, please welcome our first speech of the day, Eddie from Aqua Ocean.
Thank you. A few years ago, I was at sea in the Mediterranean as we received a very short notice task to transit from Malta all the way to the Straits of Gibraltar at high speed. Over the course of about 24 hours, we emitted the same amount of CO2 as 70 UK households did in a year. Now, I was quite a junior sailor at the time, but something about this didn't sit quite right with me. How on earth is this sustainable? This was one small ship in one small part of our vast oceans. It's pretty clear we've got a big emissions problem in the maritime sector. And as time has moved on, we've become increasingly reliant on our oceans to power our homes and sustain our society. In 2021, we had 236 operational wind farms around the world, growing at 16% annual growth rate. We had 1.3 million kilometers of undersea cables that sustain our high-speed financial system. As all of you know in this room, that infrastructure is consented, built, monitored, and maintained by expensive, highly polluting assets. In the year that the UN High Seas Treaty was finally signed, pledging to protect 30% of our oceans by 2030, the reality is that today, we protect around 3%. We're going to have to significantly increase our presence in our world's oceans if we are really committed to meeting our commitments to marine biodiversity. Now, we could continue doing what we have done so far, which is to continue to use crude, expensive, and polluting assets to sustain all of that growth and maintain that power and that growth in our economy. But if there is one thing that I would ask you to take away from our pitch today, it's this. It makes absolutely no sense to build the clean economy of the future powered by the fuels of the past. Now, look, folks, we know that we're preaching to the choir here. Over the last 3 months as part of TechX, you've shared your pain points with us. You've told us that you're looking at leasing net zero vessels for your offshore needs, but you just can't find the right solution in the market. You've told us that you've tried uncrewed systems before, but they just don't operate in the harsh environmental conditions where your assets and your infrastructure is. You've told us you're worried about protecting marine mammal populations, but the way you deliver that today is with expensive assets such as aircraft and ships. You cannot solve all of these problems without dealing with the emissions plus scale challenge. At AquaOcean, we believe we're building the solution that you need. We're deploying the world's first autonomous vessel, which is powered by clean hydrogen. The liquid hydrogen propulsion system delivers over 40 days of ocean-going endurance. That is significantly more than any other solution in the market today. Forget about coming back to port every few days to recharge batteries. We're building real vessels for real-world environmental conditions here. The hydrogen system produces excess power, so we can install a variety of high-grade sensors on our vessel so you can monitor everything from infrastructure to marine mammals, at the same time as deploying payloads in up to 3-meter wave heights. Crucially, we don't just have the tech, but we also have the team. Across the senior leadership team, we're bringing experience together from the maritime industry, from startups, and from defense and security. And as we build out our team in line with our vision, we're going to be bringing in talent from other industries. We're not just talking about it, it's happening right now. We're currently building the hydrogen propulsion system, and it will undergo testing this summer in the UK. Throughout the rest of this year, we're building our hull, electrical systems, mechanical systems, and software, all culminating in our North Sea trials, which will be delivered right here in Aberdeen towards the end of next year. So if you, like us at AquaOcean, think that building the future of offshore renewable energy using diesel-powered expensive vessels sounds absolutely nonsensical, then let's talk. We would love to continue many of the fantastic conversations that we've had over the last 3 months with many of you as we build towards our North Sea trials in Aberdeen next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Eddie and AquaOcean. Tough work to go first, but I think you did a great job. Now, from a team that includes literal brothers in the co-founders to a team that generally feel like brothers when they're taking part in the process. And they were probably hanging out when causing lots of mischief since they were a young age.
Yeah, they are still mischievous, as we've seen on the program. But thankfully, this energy, now this beautiful energy that they have, is being put towards building the future of electrolyzer manufacturing. So they've been up and running for less than a year, but they've already raised investment, they've hired new employees, and they've advanced their technology quite a lot. So very impressive.
Definitely, and their energy and passion definitely comes through, and that's not just the volume of their voices when you first meet them, but I think it's time we hear about them and their technology. Please welcome Augusto from Electrogenos.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Edward. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here today. So today I'm here to talk to you about green hydrogen. Specifically, we're an alkaline electrolyzer manufacturer, next generation. And for those who don't know what alkaline electrolysis is, this is when you apply electricity to water to break it down to make hydrogen. So there's a lot of talk these days about green hydrogen. But really, hydrogen is nothing new. It's something that's a $185 billion market today. And the issue is it's primarily served by 96% fossil fuel-based hydrogen, which is a very polluting sector of the market. So it's up to us as a clean tech company to innovate both in the technology, but also in the manufacturing process to make green hydrogen cheaper and more accessible to everyone. So we do this by concentrating on the stack. This is the heart of the electrolyzer. This is what you submerge in the water to produce the green hydrogen. And it's 50% of the cost and 90% of the electric consumption. So this will make 4 times cheaper. We also make it more efficient. And most importantly, we make it faster to deploy. So currently, the competitive market is plagued with a 2-year backlog in the supply chain. And this is a great challenge, but it's also a great opportunity that we're here to solve. So as I mentioned, we concentrate on the stack. This is what an ordinary stack would look like. As you can see, it's composed by multiple parts, the bipolar plate, the gas efficient layer, the catalyst, the membrane. So very complicated for a very simple solution. So what we did at Electrogenos is we simplified this by reducing the number of parts. We created a bipolar plate merged with a catalyst. And this reduces the manufacturing cost as well as the assembly cost. But really, our competitive advantage is the catalyst. This is the material that you put on it to make the reaction go faster. And our competitors are paying $400 per meter squared for nickel-based catalyst and upwards of $1,000 if you're using platinum or rare earth metals. But here at Electrogenos, we do it differently, and we can do it for $10 to $20 per meter squared. So we're talking about 40x reduction in cost on the cost of the electrode. But let me tell you a little bit about me so you can believe a bit these numbers. Actually, I'm not an academic. I come from industry. In fact, I was working in the heat exchanger market, which is a sector with very tight margins. And therefore, everything I invented from the get-go was something that's going to be scalable, required no heat treatments, reduce the number of parts, increase automation, and very importantly, utilizing soft tooling. So with soft tooling, we can actually reduce the capex by up to 8 times. And let me show you what I mean by this. So this is what this lump of metal is what our competitors are using to make their catalysts. And this is what Electrogenos is using. So we use buckets of plastic with chemicals inside. As you can see, this means a great reduction in capex. But really, what does that translate to? So this is the next level of innovation. Now we're talking about the manufacturing level of innovation. And this is where most of our competitors have to scale to the gigawatt scale, which is a logistical nightmare. So this is why there's so many backlog suppliers, and we can't compete with China because their operational costs are always going to be lower than ours. So if we're to compete with China, we have to be smaller, leaner, quicker, and this is what Electrogenos is here to do. By being cost effective on the 200 megawatt scale, which is usually the stepping stone for most of our competitors, we're able to deploy faster, closer to the customer, and ensuring energy security for diverse governments. Finally, this is our founding team. So we've got Alfredo, who's the business mind behind us. He's over there in the crowd. So he went to BCG and ESADE. As Ed mentioned, we're good friends from school. We went very different routes, and he joined with me to support me through this process. Then we've got Dr. Alexander Reep here in the UK as an industrial advisor, Mikro Rubase, and finally, Christian Tabit, from an executive from BB Ventures. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Electrogenos. Fantastic. I think it is time for our next pitch. What's happening? What are you doing?
Well, I told you I was going on holiday straight after that. I'm jetting off. Summer, man.
You realize we're in the Net Zero Technology Centre. Like jetting, airplanes is not very good for carbon emissions, Laura.
Yeah. But our next pioneer might have the solution. It's called guilt-free flying.
Oh, excellent. Well, to be fair, it does make sense. And for a lot of businesses, entrepreneurs, it's like starting your own family, having to raise a child. And one of our founders has lots of experience of that as a proud father of 5 children. Paul, who's in this business, is tackling, as if that wasn't enough, the challenge of a new novel engine. So it should be quite fascinating to see how that comes together and how they're bringing that passion together with co-founders Rob, Min and Weija to this challenge.
Yep. So for my next holiday, I might be flying with superconducting cryogenic hydrogen motors.
Is this something to do with like fridges and engines?
No. Okay, let's get the expert on stage. Please, everybody, welcome Paul from FluxArt.
Good morning, and good afternoon, and good evening for some that might be watching online. It's a pleasure to be here. Rob and myself have worked together for 30-something odd years, and actually he was my boss before, so it's nice to be here with him. We both started this journey because we love traveling, but we love traveling with our kids, and we've got young kids, as you've heard. All of the families travel, but it was at this event that BAE, when I was at Airbus, sent me to. For those that don't recognize it, is the Memorial and Art Center in Philadelphia. The statue there of Rocky Balboa at the top of the stand of the steps, you may remember, and we feel a bit like that at FluxArt. In 2003, I was sent here to learn about hydrogen from this gentleman, Jeremy Rifkin. Very, very important. He wrote the book about the hydrogen economy, and it changed my life. And it made me rethink, what was I doing in aerospace? I left BAE the year afterwards and joined Rolls-Royce, thinking that they're a propulsion company that will get it. So I went and tried to change the world by going to Rolls-Royce and talking about hydrogen. They didn't. They didn't want to go there. So we ended up parting company, and I chose to go to GKN Aerospace, where we convinced the board and the UK government to invest 54 million. And why? Because, as we said, 80% of the world's population has not yet flown. And in that year that I was out in Philadelphia, we didn't know about COVID coming, obviously, but the growth rate since then to the end of 2050 has been significant and will continue to be. And we'll lose CO2 only if we do a number of things. One, use new technologies. Some of those exist today, but they're not enough. We need to get rid of the non-CO2 effects associated with flying, contrails, NOx, and that's how we get to net zero. So Rob, would you take us through the solution?
Thank you, Paul. Okay, so I'll try and explain to you how Fluxart is tackling this problem. And I'll start just with a brief look back at history. So just over 100 years ago, there was a revolution. The Wright brothers achieved powered flight. And from those beginnings, aircraft continued to evolve until we got to about the 1930s when the jet engine that we're all familiar with today was invented. That gave a step change in performance, and aircraft evolved from that point until we get aircraft that we're familiar with today, things like the A380 Super Jumbo, which I had the privilege to help design over a number of years. So I'm a big fan of modern aircraft, but if we're going to tackle climate change, more of the same isn't enough. We need to do something different. We need that next revolution. And that revolution is hydrogen-fueled aircraft, and it's actually happening today. So just to explain a little bit what I mean about that, if we have hydrogen on board an aircraft and we take that and take oxygen from the air and we put it into a fuel cell, that generates electricity, which can power a motor to turn a propeller to drive the aircraft forward. And the cool thing about that process is the only byproducts are water and heat, so no greenhouse gas emissions. So you might think, we've solved the problem. Not quite, because the motors in that solution weren't designed for aerospace. They're heavy, and weight is the number one enemy of aircraft design. And that's where Fluxart comes in with our superconducting motor technology. So when a wire is superconducting, its electrical resistance drops to zero if you make it very cold. And the point about that is the big, heavy copper cables that you see in conventional motors can be replaced by very thin and light tapes. And the end result is a very lightweight motor. So how do we make it superconducting? Well, I mentioned hydrogen before, and on board an aircraft, that needs to be stored in a liquid form, and that's at minus 250 degrees. And that's perfect. We can use that aircraft fuel to cool the motor. So we've got that synergy of the fuel and the motor cooling. And when we put all of that together, we end up with a motor which is a quarter of the weight of a conventional motor, or 4 times the power density. It's ultra efficient, which means it generates less heat, which means you need less energy to cool the motor. And with the fuel cell propulsion system, there's 0 emissions. And a good point about it is that you can scale that up to a size which is suitable for 100-seat aircraft, which are the main polluters, and help the electrification of aviation. At that point, I'll hand back to Paul.
So we validated this market. It's worth 74 billion per annum by 2026. This aircraft was designed and developed and released by Boeing on Sunday. Looks a bit like the one you've just seen. We've been working with companies like Boeing to implement our solution in the skies by 2030. And if we do so, our impact on carbon emissions by 2050 could be as much as 135 megatons. Significantly, and I compare it with millions of homes of energy, 17,000 million homes of energy saved by our solution. And that's just taking a small part of the market. So you can hear from this, we've got experience, we've got a vision which is true zero emissions, not just for aerospace, but we can bring this to other markets as well. We've got a history and pedigree in aerospace. We've got history of building and delivering and developing at scale. Part of my responsibilities in the past have been to do the ventilator challenge in the UK, going from pretty much 50 units to 5,000 in 14 weeks. We have the academic background and established CTO of Min Zhang, who's the world leading expert in this as our CTO. Wager, who's in the room, will take questions. But we've got also a team of technology experts from the market and also engaging our strategic partners through great interfaces across the world. So we joined this journey back in 2021. We got a grant in 22, and I can proudly announce today we've got another grant of 1.4 million to develop our fail-safe motor, and we're looking forward for an investment round that carries us through, and we look forward to your questions. So if you want to know more about FluxArt, please check that link. Thank you.
There we go.
See?
Simple. It's not rocket science, it's only engine science. Easy. Now, for our next speaker, we've got a cracking team for Aberdeen, and they're going to be showing us a cracking tech. Ken fit I mean?
I can fit you in, but I don't think everybody in the audience does. Not everybody's from Aberdeen here. Should I translate?
Yeah, maybe you translate.
From the skies down back to the sea now. Our next pioneer comes from Aberdeen, and they are here today to talk to you about their novel tidal turbine design.
So you mean Ken's fit I mean?
Aye.
Aye, there we go. So please welcome to the stage Ken from Hydrowheel.
Fit like loons and quines. That's about the only Doric I know. So, I'm Ken Morrow, and I have a unique background for fighting climate change because I used to make simple, portable, bouncy castles. Oh. So, we had a little while ago, we had a customer, a seismic engineer at Schlumberger, a guy called Mike Clark, hired a castle for his daughter. And he said to us, we need a seismic testing tank that's simple and portable. And it's got to be tough, like an inflatable whitewater raft. Now, the only thing that bouncy castles have in common with whitewater rafts is that drunk adults should keep off them. It seemed absolutely impossible. I had to explain to Mike, yes, of course we can make this for you. So we worked hard, we optimized the shape, we learned how to distribute the huge forces involved, and we made Mike his test tank. I'm not sure if the slide's right. Okay. So anyway, so we made Mike his test tank. We'd done the impossible. We thought, what else can we do? Let's do the impossible again. We decided to transition from energetic kids to renewable energy. We knew that offshore wind's costs had come down, but it's intermittent. Tidal energy is dependable, but putting sophisticated equipment in a harsh marine environment is expensive. We would finally make tidal energy affordable. We'd make dependable energy at the touch of a button. So, the Hydrowheel ocean turbine is a simple, portable, scalable turbine that's inflated with water on site and tethered above the seabed but below the harmful wave action. The turbine's expanding chambers contract and expand in the flow. It's harnessed to the generator, turning with the tide to give clean electricity. A large hydrowheel in a fast tidal flow can produce over 1 megawatt. That's enough for 300 homes, and enough for isolated work sites like fish farms, where it can power the floodlights, filtration, feeding systems, and we can help them electrify their drones and shipping. Expertise here transfers directly to offshore facilities, and we can even supplement offshore wind with arrays of hydrowheels. So our inflatable technology gives us a lot of advantages in manufacture, transport, installation, and it's easy to recycle. And with our computational modeling with the University of Dundee, we're predicting CapEx and OpEx low enough to deliver renewable clean energy at £30 per megawatt hour. That's less than offshore wind. So isolated communities and work sites tend to be dependent on diesel generators. They're expensive to run and have high emissions. So we are targeting Scottish and Norwegian fish farms as a beachhead market, where we can help them to cut their costs, to continue their mechanisation, and to improve their sustainability. Fish farms use up to £100,000 of diesel a year. It's a sizable market for us to grow in and then expand into other markets like offshore facilities and offshore farms. So our funding awards have already financed our tank testing. They're financing our 3D modeling. We'll be putting this in the NZTC partners out to the National Decommissioning Centre and testing it before the end of the month. From there, we'll be going up to EMEC in Orkney with a prototype in 2024 and aiming to run a pilot program in 2025. That will leave us manufacturing in 2026, and you can just see someone using the latest Leicester SeamTech 920 welding machine for all the other industrial textile fans out there. It's maybe just me. So we've got a strong team with manufacturing and renewable energy experience. Through the TechX program, we've found some amazing partners. They've filled in all the gaps we have on the research side. So we're now looking for partners with the resources in financial resources, with technical resources, and with relationship resources to help us run our pilot programs. We've done the impossible. Come and help us prove that renewable, affordable, and clean energy is possible. Thank you.
Well, that was brilliant. From bouncy castles to tidal turbines. Now that's innovation. Who's next?
Ok. La nuestra próxima presentazione si porterà da Maria Sierra.
They're Italian. Doesn't say it in Italian. They're Italian.
Oh, okay, okay. We've got a global audience. You never know. You never know. Maybe I should stick to English from now on.
Please.
Okay. So we've heard about skies. We've heard about seas. It's time to head even higher up into space. Our next technology comes all the way from Italy, and it is helping us speed up the development of offshore renewables.
Please welcome on stage Andrea from MESPAC.
Thank you. So good morning, or I should say buongiorno. Before actually moving to space from under the sea surface, let me introduce you the story of the Gianduiotto, a typical product from Torino, the city I am from. It was invented in the 19th century, and it is a 10-gram hazelnut-based chocolate marvel. For 200 years, nobody changed anything about it, nor the shape or the recipe. Until a chocolatier, again from Torino, recently make it into a 5-gram Gianduiotto, half the original size. With this subtle change, Mr. Gobino unlocked the true potential of Gianduiotti. In fact, 10-gram Gianduiotto tend to be very complex to process. But if you offer a box of 5-gram Gianduiotti to your friends, you better have more than one with you. Similarly, with MESPAC, we aim to unlock the true potential of satellite application to the offshore renewable energy space. While today satellites are mainly used for small tasks like model validation, we're unlocking their use for proper metocean surveys. My team and I, over the past 15 years, have been struggling collecting data of wind, wave, and other metocean variables offshore. And this struggle is shared by the 55 potential users we interviewed today for three main reasons. First, an average offshore wind farm spans for more than 400 square kilometers, but you generally only get data from 1 or 2 points. This seems to be quite an impressive lack of comprehensive information, especially when you think about installing billion-plus worth of assets. Second, data streams coming from flat Earth or wave meter, for example, always, let me repeat it, always present inconsistencies and data gaps. Third, most importantly, to complete an offshore in situ surveys, it can take even 3 to 4 years. This, of course, has an impact on the time to deploy this offshore asset. Think about that. If we can if we can make the process faster by even just 1 year, it means we will unlock revenues for an average offshore wind farm in the range of £250 million. The Metocean survey market is valued at 12 billion. The sector targeting offshore renewable energy application is valued at 4 billion, driven by the high growth rate of the offshore wind sector. Our beachhead market will target projects in the North Sea and then will expand to the rest of the world. But the beauty of our approach is that as we will grow, we will knock into adjacent markets very easily. So, coming to our solution, we combine satellite Earth observation data with in situ measurements. We feed them into our proprietary probabilistic supervised artificial intelligence algorithms that are trained and validated to reach the same level of accuracy of in situ measurements. With this approach, MESPAC can save 50% of the time of traditional Metocean surveys. But how can we do that? Well, our patent pending process has no dead times and insists on various levels of parallelization and automation. Looking at the competition, we aim to provide the best combination in terms of accuracy, speed of data delivery, reliability, and scalability. But moreover, thanks to our platform approach, we are looking at some potential competitors like surveying companies more as potential partners rather than actual competitors. We will provide an easy access to the MESPAC platform and will serve our customers with a data and analytics as a service subscription model. Through the platform or our APIs, we will serve and support our users for the entire life cycle of their projects. We will provide them the data they need when they need it. MESPAC was founded thanks to the support received by the European Space Agency. During the TechX program, we closed the pre-seed round with an investor that is already committed for the next seed round. Next year, we will run a pilot test for which we are looking for a partner, while we will seek further support from the European Space Agency. Our team has 50 years of experience in this sector. We feature both top offshore renewable energy academic experience, as well as an industry experience of technology transfer and licensing to a Fortune 500 major energy company. So, if you want to partner with us to validate MESPAC, please come and talk to us. If you don't want to partner with us, just come to talk as well. I'm sure a 5-gram Janduyotti will unlock some good conversation. Thanks for your attention.
Smooth.
Wow. I think we know who'll be popular at the break in a second. Hope you've got a few from there. Well, the break is coming up soon, but we've got our last pitch of round one coming up just now.
I've got a joke.
Oh,
Can I tell you my joke?
Everybody be prepared.
How many PhDs does it take to turn a wind turbine?
How many? I don't know.
I believe you fell for it. It's the wind that turns it.
Oh, here we go. Stick to the day job, Laura. We're not having that. But okay. I understand, because our next team does include a team with 3 different PhDs, all with a renewable energy background. But they're going beyond academics, and now they are going to design the future of wind energy.
That's right. Their turbines are small and compact, just like Edward.
Small and mighty, I hope you find. Please welcome to the stage Adam from Myriad Wind.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for that introduction. So, Myriad Wind is all about high-performance modular wind turbines. But first, let me tell you about solar panels. Solar panels are a really neat solution because what we have here is a modular panel which can be really easily manufactured, transported, etc. We have factories pumping out hundreds and thousands of these. If you want a small installation to produce a small amount of power, you have one on your house with a few panels. If you want to have a large utility scale solar farm, you just use the same supply chain and just repeat, repeat, repeat. Wind took a different approach. They scaled up the size of components to produce more power instead. The issue with this is that manufacturing costs and logistics are a real nightmare. We have here an 88-meter long blade, but they're now making them up to 120 meters long. Every time you increase the size of a blade, you need to extend the facility where you manufacture it at or build a brand new one. And I think here this picture shows you the transportation issues itself. So, Myriad is asking a fundamental question. What if we made wind look more like solar? Well, let me introduce to you a modular wind turbine. We have here a 3 megawatt system, but if we wanted to increase the power, all we need to do is add another row of generator units using the same supply chain. With 13-meter long blades and much smaller components, manufacturing costs are reduced and made much easier. Along with the modular frame, everything now fits on a standard HGV, meaning our wind turbine can go anywhere. We also have a built-in maintenance system which can efficiently swap in and out components. These can then be taken to an off-site facility where they're then maintained on the ground safely rather than at height. Our wind turbine is also able to produce more electricity through increased availability and aerodynamic benefits. This translates for a 3 megawatt wind turbine to an additional 200 homes per 3 megawatt wind turbine. Myriad is able to reduce manufacturing costs, has an efficient maintenance system, and produces more power. The global wind turbine market is enormous. It's worth over £100 billion in 2023. Myriad is targeting initially an onshore product because technically and financially this is much easier to achieve. If we can capture just 2% of the European onshore market, there's huge growth potential, going from 400 million in 2024 to 1.8 billion in 2040. But what if this wind turbine design became the norm? Is 2% the limit? We've got a great team of founders, as has already been mentioned. We have all three of us as renewable energy researchers, with Paul here, who's here today, our CTO, having done his PhD on the multi-rotor wind turbine, meaning that we've got a huge technical advantage over anyone else in this space. Myriad has raised around £500,000 from our investors, SFC and the University of Edinburgh, and grant funders, Innovate UK, and of course the Net Zero Technology Centre. And this is all to build our virtual prototype, de-risking our wind turbine as much as possible on the computer this year. Before next year, we are going to put in a real-world prototype, and we're currently looking for investment and collaborators to achieve this. After that, it's all about scale-up and, of course, commercialization. So, Myriad has a potentially revolutionary design for wind turbines. Thank you very much.
Well done, Myriad, and well done to all the pioneers so far. It's been really good. So it's taken a lot of hard work, as you can maybe tell, a lot of hours preparing their pitches, practicing again, the TechX team bugging them to practice yet again and again. So we can see the results, really. Have you been enjoying it, Edward?
I have loved it. I hope you all have too, hopefully so. And it feels, honestly, not that long ago. It was the end of 2022 when we first started to see the applications coming in, and we can already see in that time just how much the businesses have been developing, how much they progressed the technology, how much their pitches have improved, but they have also been having to explain some quite complicated technologies in a way that we can all understand. So I think they have done a brilliant job, but we still have 6 more to go. And before we get started in the next section, we also do still have some seats up at the front. So if you have some space next to you on the benches, if you don't want to shuffle, because some people have been standing at the back for a little while and are probably getting sore legs. So if there are some seats here, here, and here, please feel free to come down and grab a seat. We encourage you to do that now before we go into our Q&A. So there's space. So please come down. If you want to grab a seat, let's do that now.
That's right. Thanks, Edward, for that. Also, so during the Q&A, just to remind you all, just put your hand up if you have a question for the wonderful pioneers, the first 6 ones. Online audience, same for you. You have your Mentimeter code. So just please pop these questions there on the Mentimeter and we'll be able to read them.
Okay, I think we are ready to get started. And if you are following along at home or in the room, please feel free to share on social media. Hopefully you've got a team that you're supporting. So make sure you give a tag to the @Net0 Technology Centre account and please get in touch. So I think it's time for our Q&A. If you haven't got a question, start thinking of one now, because I think it is almost time to introduce our panel.
And so for our first Q&A panel of the day, we have Ken from Hydrowheel,
Weija from FluxArt,
Neil from AquaOcean,
Andrea from Mespac,
Adam from Myriad Wind,
and Augusto from Electrogenos. Welcome, everyone.
I need to get the item.
All right, so shall we start in the room? Who has a question? Please pop your hand up and we'll come to you with a microphone. Yes.
So my name's Ian Phillips. I'm an independent energy transition consultant, and my question is for 2 companies, for the AquaOcean guys and for the FluxArt guys. Both casually mentioned liquid hydrogen. Liquid hydrogen is notoriously difficult. It's minus 250 degrees C. It's not far off absolute zero. So my question is, isn't there a bit of a flaw in the argument that says, oh, we will have liquid hydrogen? Because that seems like a very energy intensive way of getting your energy.
Okay. Weija, you go first.
Happy to go first. So in terms of aviation, so if we want to achieve net zero by 2050, the realistic options are only sustainable aviation fuel or hydrogen. And in order to achieve that on time, we really need to look at 2 options now. And for liquid hydrogen, it offers much better energy density and power density needed in order to power transportation vehicles such as aircraft or ships. That's why we need to use in liquid hydrogen. And in FluxArt, we are actually harnessing the cooling power available from liquid hydrogen. Therefore, it's not a burden for us. Actually, it's an advantage for us. We take advantage of the cooling power from liquid hydrogen, turn it to cool the superconductor, therefore providing the high power density needed for propulsion the aircraft. So that's our advantage. So we basically take the cooling burden from liquid hydrogen and make it more energy, the overall propulsion system more efficient. But come to our website if you want to find out more details.
Thank you. Neil?
Great. Yeah, we're somewhat in the same situation where power density is absolutely critical. Gas hydrogen, when you're looking at long endurance offshore vessels, is not going to be suitable. There is, of course, ammonia and methanol. There is always questions about the sustainability of some of the methanol production. But one of the challenges we have when you're looking at smaller vessels, when you're getting into autonomous vessels, is the size and weight of the systems. So the cracking systems of ammonia or the reforming systems of methanol fuel cells. So in our case, liquid hydrogen is, of course, a system that's already been proven. We have been working with experts on that. We actually use the vacuum insulated liquid hydrogen tank And of course, there's the boil-off ratio, and that's one of the biggest concerns with liquid hydrogen. If you don't use it, you lose it. But we actually use that power to actually propel the vessel because we're using such small quantities, and that's why we get the endurance. So for us, at this point in time, liquid hydrogen makes sense. The vessel itself is also modular, so we can retrofit if there is a transition towards e-methanol or ammonia in the later stages. We have that ability to transition quite quickly. But for the moment, liquid hydrogen seems like the best option for us.
Thank you both. Another question in the room. Please pop your hand up if you do. Okay, we'll maybe go to one online.
Thank you, Edward. Yeah, there is a question online here for Myriad Wind. Myriad, have you considered how birds and other wildlife will interact with your turbine design?
Yeah, thank you for that. So yeah, we get this question quite a lot because, of course, it's a concern. So our theory, working theory at the moment, is that because a wind turbine normally has blades which come around every 30 seconds, it's very easy for a bird not to see that blade and then get hit by it. Whereas our design is actually a lot more solid in its kind of appearance, which leads us to think that that birds are going to go around it. But we're going to have to put up a prototype and investigate this in a real-world scenario, because before that, we can't really say for sure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Back to the audience. Oh, we've got a question. Oh, Sophie, you could find whoever it is. Thank you on this one there. Great.
Hi, my name is Anthony. I'm an intern here. I'm studying my master's in renewable energy engineering. And I have a question for those who are using liquid hydrogen. It seems very energy intensive. So where will the energy be coming from, especially using aviation, like on a plane, to also cool the motor? And then for the hydro wheel, the black material, what is that made of? And also in terms of during high currents, can that also be sustained? And for the Myriad, sorry, sorry guys, last one for Myriad. I'm concerned about structure integrity because of in terms of forces, like going, as you go higher, the wind also gets stronger. So can that also be sustained as well in the long term? And where is the hub positioned for the mechanical gears? Because I didn't see that as well.
Okay, thank you for your questions. In the interest of fairness, I'm going to give your hydro wheel question, if that's okay, and we'll maybe catch the other ones in the break later on with them. But I'll go to Ken from hydro wheel for his question. Thank you very much.
Right. So the material for the sails only has to transfer the loads, so it doesn't have to be waterproof. It doesn't have to be impermeable. So we're probably using a sailcloth, various types of a woven polyester. So, and these can all be recycled more easily. Because it's going in a tidal current, we do know exactly how strong a current that we have to design for. So there are either polyester sling type materials that are used to transfer all the loads and they distribute those as evenly as possible. So there's no particular one point that has to take anything that can't be handled. You happy with that?
Thank you very much. I think there was a question at the back in the room there, please.
Hi, yeah, it's another question for Myriad. I just wondered what the situation was with the relative efficiencies between the sort of concept of having many things generating power as opposed to fewer. And is that a sort of penalty or an advantage of the system?
Yeah, great question. So from an efficiency perspective, in terms of your mechanical efficiency and electrical efficiency, no, because it's a percentage, and so it will be the same across the whole system. However, what we do find is that by having lots of redundancy essentially in the system, we have higher availability for our wind turbine, so it generates more energy because it's operating more at the time, essentially. And that all hinges on having an efficient maintenance system and able to swap those components out when they do fail. Yeah, hopefully that answers the question. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I think there was another one up here, but we'll go to an online one first. So,
thank you. So there's a question from the online audience for MESPAC. Can you tell us more about your pilot test planned for next year?
Yep, thanks. Let me know who he or she is, so I will send another Gianduiotto, of course. Yeah, thanks for that. So we are looking actually to pilot our solution with an offshore site, of course with a partner having an offshore site either undergoing development or already developed, preferably with offshore wind technologies there. And our goal will be, of course, to use already available in situ measurements to do all the things that I mentioned before, but also to benchmark our solution. And of course, we will look to have some opportunities for co-designing some feature or potential, key characteristics for the partner. And of course, there will be also potential benefits for, once we will reach the commercialization stage of the service. Thanks.
Thank you. We'll maybe go to the question in the room here and then maybe have a couple more.
Hi, my name's Alan Phillips. I'm a graduate of cohort 3, so I appreciate what you're going through today. I've been there. Question for Myriad about the wind turbines. They look pretty cool. They make a lot of sense. But my concern is what can you patent or what's the IP? Imagine it's a complete success. How do you prevent other people copying it?
Thank you. Yeah, so we actually have 2 filed patents and they're pending at the moment. One of them is for a modular structure. So that's completely something new. It's not something that's been done before. And the other thing that we're very keen to patent, because it's the another enabling technology of the multi-rate wind turbine, is our maintenance system. And we've also got a pending patent for that as well. Because, of course, when you've got more components, you need to be able to then efficiently maintain them so that you don't have the issue where they're causing more outages than actually the other way around. Hope that answers the question.
Great, thank you. Another online one, I think, Laura?
Yes, and that's a question for Electrogenous. You mentioned you have investment. How long will this last? What milestones are you looking to hit before your next one? And how much are you looking to raise to scale the manufacturing? Sorry, that was a hard one.
Yeah, it's all right. Well, so we started, just 2 of us, Alfred and I, who's over there in the crowd. We then raised a £1 million pre-seed round and have since scaled our team out of what used to be a shed into a proper lab where we're building. Our team of engineers are building our first 4 kilowatt demonstrator. We're 8 people now. We've also onboarded a CTO with over a decade of experience in electroplating. And our route to market is we're going to build a 4 kilowatt demonstrator by the end of the summer and then 20 kilowatt, at which point we're also raising a £2 million raise now at the moment to build our first pilot manufacturing plant where we are to prove the model of soft tooling manufacturing and its scalability. Thank you.
Great. We've got time for a few more in the room, I think. So, yeah, one here and then we'll maybe come to you, sir.
Thank you. My name is James Hasty. I'm from Blackfish Engineering. We've worked with some of the cohort this year and in the past. I have a question for Aqua Marine. What are your, I'm sure the concept can work or can be engineered to work in a technical sense. What are your main non-technical challenges? The one I think of namely is insurance. How do you convince insurers that an unmanned vessel delivering payload is powered by hydrogen is a good idea versus conventional manned vessel or electric vessel with a diesel backup?
Yeah, so we've actually been speaking to insurance companies at the moment, and I think a lot of people are starting to see that there is this major shift towards autonomous technology. So they're actually very interested to partner and work with us on figuring out how these systems are going to be deployed. When it comes to the hydrogen, actually, we're speaking to a lot of the people like Lloyd's Register and the people working in the hydrogen sector. There is actually some major benefits for testing hydrogen systems on an autonomous vessel. If something does go wrong, there is nobody there to have an incident, so there is that huge benefit. There's also a lot more regulations coming on. So, yeah, so there is a lot of people looking into redundancy. So actually one of the things you see in autonomous systems is the amount of redundancy systems and fail-safes that have to be built in compared to traditional vessels is significantly increased. So those things are coming along. Other challenges we see in the market actually does come down to things like infrastructure and supply of hydrogen within the UK. We're having to import at the moment from places like the Netherlands. But there is a lot of facilities coming online at the moment. And one of the benefits of uncrewed surface vessels versus larger crewed vessels when it comes to use of liquid hydrogen is that actually we're only using 420 kgs for a 40-day operation. If you scale that up to a 24-meter vessel, a lot larger vessel, you're going to be burning 800 kilowatts. So you're looking at tens of tons of hydrogen for that same use case.
Great. Thank you. We had another in the room, and I'm going to be slightly rude and say we've had a few questions from Myriad. So if there's any more from Myriad, please grab Adam in the break. But to be fair to the panel, we'll maybe get any non-Myriad ones for now.
You'll be pleased. It's not for Myriad. It's for Ken at Hydrowheel. It's a simple one, really. So tidal power is both intermittent and predictable, which is quite an interesting situation. Why has tidal power been so slow to be adopted, really?
It really comes down to costs. So this is maybe an unpopular view, but a lot of engineers' solution to everything is more engineering. And that's expensive and it adds complexity. We're a very, very simple group, simple guys. We're looking for simple solutions. So we think that is the critical thing, is getting the costs right down. So although we haven't ignored efficiency, we are concentrating specifically on scaling it up, getting the manufacturing costs down, and that's why we're predicting a levelized cost of electricity below that of offshore wind. There's no one else in tidal who can get anywhere near that.
Okay, I think we have one more in the room, and then we'll go to an online to close. Was there another hand? I'm sure I saw one at some point. Someone in the room? Okay, an online one?
I've got an online one. So, hi, cohort 5. I am an entrepreneur in early stage. I am trying to think about accelerators and see if that's the thing for me. Could you please share your best wins from this accelerator? Who wants to speak first?
I think for me, the best wins of this accelerator, it's a fantastic program that is actually comprehensive. It takes everything that you'll ever need to understand. It's like a mini MBA in 16 weeks, and it's quite intensive. So this particular accelerator is fantastic for that. But mainly, it's actually the engagement with the industry, which I think a lot of accelerators lack. Getting that customer discovery and really being able to drill down into what your value proposition is absolutely critical for any company to succeed. I think as entrepreneurs, you get into a habit of believing your idea is the only idea that will ever work, and it's really good to validate if that's really true, or actually if you need to pivot throughout that. So that's been extremely valuable through this one.
Thank you, Neil. Someone else?
I just can say it resonate also for what I think coming from like an international place. I think the network that we found here. I mean, every time we went here, we were able to talk to people and they perfectly knew and understood what we were doing. And it's sometimes in some places not always like that. I guess the industry experience here is pretty strong. So it's been one of the highlights. And there are many, of course.
Yeah, actually. So, I mean, I totally agree with all the points that have been made so far. But, you know, the obvious one is also the money. This accelerator provides some funding, which without a doubt, you know, makes a massive difference because it means you can do something. You know, it's yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Oh, sorry.
No,
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, personally, I also really enjoyed the mentorships that we found throughout as well, like both the official and the unofficial, and as well, you know, hearing all the stories of other people who have gone through this process, and you know how to get there and the different challenges. It makes you feel like you're not alone in this, and you know you're working towards the same goal. Thank you.
I think that's all the time we had for. So thank you so much to our panelists. I think a big round of applause for them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So we've had 6 pitches, we've seen 6 companies. How are we feeling? Think we need a bit of a stretch of our legs, a little coffee break? What do we think?
Yeah, that's right. So actually good timing because now we're going to have a little break. So just to stretch your leg, grab a coffee, a glass of water, refresh your minds, and we'll be back in the room and online. We'll be back online at 12:20 p.m. UK time. Enjoy your break.
Thank you. Okay, welcome back, everybody. How are we doing? We get a good break there? Excellent. Now, what on earth is going on now? All right, okay. So if no one had noticed, is this to help me guess who's on next? Right, okay, let me think. So it's charades. So It's got to be Mexican. Okay, that makes sense. And then what's this? It's shaking. It's music. It's a band. It's up and down, left and right. Two, double, twin, together. Parallel. It's going to be parallel carbon up next. Excellent. So there you go. Nice warm introduction for that. So Aranza, who is originally from Mexico, is going to be coming onto stage very soon to introduce her fantastic carbon capture technology very soon, now that we know exactly who it is that's coming on next.
That's right. And carbon capture with added benefit of producing hydrogen, green hydrogen.
Oh, very handy. So now Aranza's energy and enthusiasm has been shining all throughout the program, and I can't wait to see her pitch today.
Please, kicking off round 2, make a warm, warm welcome from Aranza Su from Parallel Carbon.
My 2-year-old daughter Emma has recently discovered her artistic abilities. A couple of weeks ago, I made the huge mistake of leaving her alone while we were playing with some crayons. When I came back, I realized that she decided to decorate the entire white hallway walls with red and blue crayons. She looked at me with so much pride and excitement, pointing at her brand new work of art. I just sighed, kind of smiled, removed the crayons from her hand, and went fetch a sponge to try to undo some of the damage. Humanity has behaved a little bit like Emma in the last hundreds of years, being free to make so many amazing things: cars, planes, plastics, without realizing the enormous damage that we are doing to the environment. We emit millions of kilograms of carbon dioxide into the air every day. Unfortunately, this is causing climate change and all of its horrible consequences. Mother Nature won't be as kind as I was with Emma. To mitigate the worst effects of climate change, we have to rapidly scale technologies that can eliminate hard-to-abate emissions and remove billions of kilograms of CO2 from the air. That's why we're here today. We are Parallel Carbon. We have designed a technology that can affordably remove a lot of carbon dioxide from the air while producing green hydrogen, relying only on water, wind, sunshine, and abundant minerals. Here's how it works. This is a limestone rock, calcium carbonate. These minerals have been sequestering CO2 from the air for millions of years, but they can't cope with the enormous amount that we're emitting into the air. That's why we're giving them a helping hand to accelerate these ancient mineral reactions with a little bit of electricity. Our process starts by placing hydrated lime powders, calcium hydroxide, on trays. These minerals directly capture the CO2 from the air, transforming its chemistry and changing into limestone. Traditional processes that use calcium require high temperatures to release the CO2 and regenerate this capture medium. Instead, we have designed an innovative water treatment process based on a pH swing. Inside of a tank, we place our limestone powders and we add a concentrated acid to them. This releases the CO2 and leaves behind a calcium-rich soup, as I like to call it. Then, we add a concentrated base, which precipitates these mineral powders again so we can put them in trays and be able to do the carbon capture all over again. These acids and bases that we use are being generated by a new type of membrane-less water electrolyzer that is powered by intermittent renewable energy. Inside this water electrolyzer, we use energy to break water into acids and bases. But wait, there's more. With the same amount of energy and at the same time, we can produce green hydrogen, which is a fundamental tool for decarbonizing industries. Parallel Carbon's technology has been designed to significantly reduce the cost of mitigating climate change. Our equipment is more cost-effective and has more climate benefits than a standalone direct air capture and hydrogen production processes. By leveraging well-designed supply chains, inexpensive equipment, and process integration, we can profitably sell carbon removal and hydrogen by 2030, and also at competitive prices. By 2030, we will be removing almost 1.4 million tons of CO2 from the air per year and producing almost 70,000 tons of hydrogen per year as well. To put these numbers into perspective, we would need to cover 65% of the area of Greater London in trees to achieve the same amount of carbon removal, while our technology only requires an area equivalent to the size of Trafalgar Square. My co-founder Ryan and I have PhD expertise, but we also have a strong background in techno-economics and manufacturing. We're tenacious and resourceful. We started this with just an idea and a spreadsheet before we moved into the lab, and we prototyped this technology from home. And we're also backed with an incredibly catalytic support network. We incorporated the company in July 2021. And since then, we were named as one of the top 60 companies of the Carbon Removal X Prize, selected as one of the startups that will change the world by Hello Tomorrow, and most recently, we're selected as one of the 8 companies to receive the Milky Wire's Climate Transformation Fund, securing our first customer for carbon removal. We're currently raising our seed round. We are very excited to start growing our team. And in 12 months, we will build our first pilot plant, increasing our production capacity more than 1,000 times. We invite anybody that connects with this mission of stopping climate change to reach out for us for exciting career opportunities. And I'm also looking for a lab space in Manchester. Furthermore, we're looking for collaborations to test this technology in a bigger scale. We're in the cusp of offering a solution that could bring back some peace to Mother Nature. We're reducing and removing carbon in parallel. Thank you.
Thank you, Aranzazu. That was fabulous. So actually, we've got some good feedback from our online audience. Myrtle, did you know that Bill Gates watching? Yes, I mean, he said he really enjoys it, but he says if we could cut down the jokes. So, okay, that's not gonna work. Right, Edward, what is that?
It's my outfit. I've got to look smart. Have you seen some of these entrepreneurs? They really know their stuff. I've got to try and fit in with all these smart people.
Is that supposed to make you look smart? Because, well, actually, you know what? You would fit right in with the next pioneer, not the craziness thing. The lab coat, I mean.
Quite right. So we have had carbon capture from the air, and our next one are going to be looking at carbon capture from high pollution sources of emissions.
That's right. Please give a warm welcome to Neil Shah from Purifier Labs.
Thank you, everyone. So, just a quick show of hands before I begin. Anybody here been to a carbon capture plant? I'm sure all of you have. I know they have. I know Bina and Rudy have. But okay, so about 10% of the room. So let me start about kind of telling you about that to begin with. But we're Purifier Labs, and we're transforming waste emissions into value for our partners. So in 2021, we had the opportunity to visit a carbon capture plant. And pretty quickly, we realized what the challenges of carbon capture were from industrial emissions. We had these massive towers that were 30-meter absorption towers, 40-meter stripping columns, and along with the carbon capture plant itself was nearly as big as the factory that it was being installed on. But the bigger problem was that that plant captured only 7% of the emissions of that plant. It was 150,000 tons per annum, but it captured only 10,000 tons. It was very, very energy inefficient and was set up at a cost of 12 million pounds. So those are the key reasons why carbon capture has not proliferated today. Less than 1% of polluting assets globally have any form of carbon capture in place. In addition to the issues with carbon capture plants, even if you do manage to capture it, the carbon capture value chain is extremely complex. Firstly, you've got to transport the CO2 from where you've captured it, but then there are certain options that are available on taking it forward. So either you use it for enhanced oil recovery, which is the most common use today. You can sequester or store the CO2, or you can utilize it. Now, enhanced oil recovery is not the most sustainable solution, so not something that we're considering. Sequestration and storage, the infrastructure to sequester large-scale CO2 is not going to be ready for another decade. So we have a utilization value proposition that we believe is very unique. So Purifier provides distributed emissions capture and upgrading systems. We're taking big carbon capture plants and making them small by streamlining the equipment of carbon capture plants, and we're reducing the capex, reducing the opex, and reducing the total cost of ownership for plant owners. Not only can we make carbon capture viable at smaller scales of operation, but at larger scales of operation, we can make it more profitable as well. So we're innovating on the carbon capture front part of the carbon capture system. Our nano gas separation array will tackle various gas compositions, low concentration ranges, and high temperatures that are seen from traditional flue stacks. What you see over here is our beachhead segment. This is a biogas plant, and one of the things that we have strategically chosen biogas plants is because all the feedstocks are available on site. So we can get the carbon dioxide from the biogas stream itself. We can use the liquid digestate in our hydrogen and proprietary methanol reactor to produce methanol on site. Now, because this comes from a biogas plant, this is biomethanol, and there's a big market for it. There are 20,000 biogas plants across Europe and over 1,000 biogas plants in the UK. Now, methanol, for some of you, is one of the most widely used chemicals today. It's used in paints, plastics, resins, car parts, but 99% of that comes from fossil sources. On the other hand, there's a number of industries that are looking at renewable methanol, green methanol, to potentially decarbonize their operations, from global shipping to chemicals and even distributed power generation. We're a complementary team across business, science, and engineering, and we're growing our team to support myself, Matt, and Ray in scaling Purifier. We're also supported by a very experienced advisory board comprising of industry professionals, ex-entrepreneurs, as well as industry experts. This is some methanol that we've made in our lab over the last few weeks. We're now scaling our operations to be able to take that carbon dioxide and convert it into methanol, and we need your help to help us get there. So if you do have waste feedstocks, either carbon dioxide or hydrogen, there could be some opportunities to collaborate. We're raising our seed round, and most importantly, we're looking for partners that want to help us scale this technology, that have an interest in biomethanol, and decarbonize the world together. So thank you so much for listening. My colleagues Ray and Matt are right here, so if you do want to talk to us, come and grab us at any point. We're around the whole day. Thank you so much. Oh, and follow us on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Neil. Now, Laura, what can we say about our next pioneer?
Well, I take it there's a reason for that thing on your head.
Of course, we've always got a plan, don't we, Laura? Now, our next pioneer, while laughing throughout the program, they have also applied their scientific knowledge to turning something we all take for granted, human waste, into the future of energy.
That's right. And if he's not in his lab converting waste into energy, he's at home changing dirty nappies, the pioneer with a nose of steel, and by far, the coolest name on the cohort.
Please welcome to the stage, Dr.
Daniel.
Indiana.
Carlota.
Jones in his latest adventure, The Curse of the Putrid Hydrogen.
Thank you for that very entertaining introduction, and thanks to my mum for calling me Indiana. So I'm going to take you on the last time I came to Aberdeen, which was the 2nd of April earlier this year. It was a day of national rail strikes. My journey from Leamington Spa to Birmingham International, not 15 minutes, 2.5 hours of bus rides. I get to my hotel in the centre of Aberdeen, exhausted, wound up, and pretty stressed. On my way to my room, I noticed I got a lovely looking spa, and in that spa, they had a hot tub. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of hot tubs and jacuzzis, but that would have seriously washed away all my stress with all that lovely bubbling water. But it made me think, all that bubbling constantly, that uses a lot of energy. And in fact, if you are the owner of a hot tub, you could be spending £1,000 a year just on running it. So if you've got a lot of wastewater, you wouldn't use a technology like that to treat it, would you? But welcome to the world's worst hot tub. This is what we call an activated sludge plant, or ASP. And it's literally a tank full of sewage that you bubble air into 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, you might not know this, but the water sector in the UK is pretty power hungry. 2 to 3% of all of the energy that we use goes into this sector, of which 60% is just for this aeration. So in my opinion, if you want to achieve a net zero world, I'm not sure this technology is going to be part of that. Now, I'm incredibly passionate about the circular economy. I love recovering value from waste, especially energy. And I think that technologies like this are going to be essential if you want to achieve the transformative moves that we need to achieve a net zero future. And at wastewater fuels, I believe we have an answer to that. So this is what we call a microbial electrolysis cell, or MEC for short. Now, what this technology is made of is pretty simple components. Steel, carbon fiber is pretty cheap to manufacture. We then submerge our MEC in wastewater and apply a small voltage to it. And what happens is that microorganisms, the people who do the real work at wastewater fuels, start to treat the sewage. And what we get is hydrogen gas, a renewable energy source that we can use to run things. But wait, there's more. It also treats sewage, meaning that we have a clean effluent that we can discharge to the environment. And these systems are obviously happening right now in our lab. We're using them in Coventry, and we can treat all sorts of wastewater. So it's not just sewage, cattle slurry, food waste. There is a massive opportunity out there for all the different waste. So why does our system work? Well, the light bulb really comes to mind here. So if we look around this room, I don't see one giant light bulb lighting up this whole room. There's lots of small modular systems. If you were to build one giant light bulb and it breaks, it's going to be pretty expensive to repair, and it's going to use a lot of energy. And we've applied that philosophy at wastewater fuels. We know that one modular system works really well. So we haven't made it bigger, we've just made more. And we've demonstrated with our TRL6 reactors that we are net energy positive. Or in other words, for every kilowatt hour of energy I use to run this system, I'm getting more energy out the other end. Now, until this point, we've been funded for a seed round, which we completed in October 2022, and we've had revenue contracts from the Ministry of Defence, which have funded our research up until this point. Now, we also have a site trial agreement with Severn Trent Water, who are the water authority in the West Midlands, to set up our next larger scale units at the Innovation Test Centre in Redditch. And pending some final approvals on what we're designing, that should be deployed in the next few months. But we really want to go beyond this. So if we're going to roll this technology out, we've got to get to TRL 7 and beyond. And what we're designing here is an ISO containerized unit. We've submitted a series of funding proposals to get this approved. And if the funding comes in, we will be deploying this asset in the next couple of years. So we're really excited by the ambition. Now, our team, in a relatively short space of time, we think has achieved quite a lot. We've gone from TRL 3 to TRL 6 since October. And that's really been because of the diversity of thought and experience that we have in our team. So myself, I've got a doctorate in sewage treatment, and I've worked in the water sector for many years. James, on the other hand, is a microbiologist, also has a PhD, and is brilliant at getting to the nitty-gritty of what's going on and what's working. Martin is our business-focused person. He has an MBA. He's really good at leading on the strategy and raising our funding. Mallory, who I just skipped past, sorry Mallory if you're watching. Mallory, on the other hand, is our R&D scientist who has also a PhD and is really good at leading on the experimental design. Now, Nick is interesting. Nick has designed luxury cars for his entire life, and now he's designing luxury sewage treatment. And finally, there's Isaac, who's our grad engineer, who has a huge amount of experience in 3D printing, and he's been able to slash the cost of the components that we use to manufacture our systems. Now, throughout TechX, we have learned a huge amount, especially from our customer discovery sessions and also from the strategic partners. And we want to continue that learning going forward. There are so many things that we need to continue learning so that we can deploy our technology. So if you're interested in what I've been saying today, please do stay in touch. I'm going to leave you with a number. 1.7 million. That's not the amount of money I'm asking for, but that is the number of homes in the UK that we could power if we treated everybody's sewage with our technology. So help us deliver the circular economy at wastewater fuels. Thank you very much.
That was really, really good. So now we're on to our last three pitches of today. I know. So have they been all incredible so far?
They have been so incredible. So honestly, no pressure to whoever comes next, but you've got a lot to live up to.
Well, speaking about pressure, our next pioneer have developed a very novel process for water desalination, low pressure process, using forward osmosis.
Forward osmosis, not backwards, sideways, up, down, left, right.
No, forward osmosis. So you use natural pressure in the water to get through the membrane, whereas reverse osmosis. No, that's not the one.
I think we're going to need to get the professionals on.
Right. I think we need to have the expert talking. Richard from Waterwhelm, please give him a warm welcome.
Hello guys, thank you very much. So my name is Dr. Richard Wood, and I'm from a company called Waterwhelm. So Waterwhelm are a desalination and wastewater treatment company. Isn't it on? Okay, good start there. Hello? There we go. Sorry guys. So Waterwhelm are a wastewater treatment and desalination company. So I haven't always been a doctor. I really struggled at university. I struggled with anxiety, and I ended up dropping out. I dropped out, but I always had that passion for science. And it was that passion for science that brought me back to university. So I went back to university, and I got my BSc in physics, first class. Then I went on to do my PhD at Surrey. And then after that, I went on to do postdocs at Aberdeen and Oxford University. But I found that the higher I climbed up the academic ladder, I found that the science became more and more diluted. And that's when I found Waterwhelm. The innovation of the technology, the forward thinking, the application of the technology really ignited my passion for science. And that's what I'd like to present to you today. So who are Waterwhelm? So Waterwhelm are a startup company based at Veolia Wastewater Treatment Works in Edinburgh. We take the waste heat from the site, and we also take the brackish water, and then we produce fresh water through desalination for reuse or export. So we can see the process here, or this is me. So we can see that the current installed base for desalination is reverse osmosis. Reverse osmosis uses very high pressures to push fresh water through a membrane. Waterwhelm, in comparison, uses forward osmosis. So we reduce the electricity by 80% and the capex by 35%. And there's also a connected reduction in CO2 emissions as a result. So how does the technology work? So Waterwhelm have an innovative draw solution that pulls fresh water through the membrane rather than push the fresh water through the membrane at high pressures like reverse osmosis. So it takes the fresh water, and then we use the waste heat to separate the draw solution from the water. Then we recirculate the draw solution in a closed loop so it can pull more fresh water through the membrane. So the desalination market is set to reach 39 billion by 2028, with reverse osmosis taking 65% of the market. So we want to grab a slice of that. The business model is EPC, which basically allows us to custom tailor a system to a customer's needs. It also is favored by desalination plants globally, and it allows us to change the business model to licensing, for example. So go-to market. So we're looking for companies with waste heat that see a benefit of using this technology, who want to produce fresh water for reuse or export. So at the moment, we're at Veolia with wastewater. But we're very, very interested in hydrogen because, as many of you know, hydrogen production produces waste heat from an electrolyzer. So what we're saying, and it also needs fresh water for the process. So what we're saying is we can take the waste heat from the electrolyzer, and then we can produce fresh water for the process itself. So a very circular economy process. Yep. So here's the past traction of Waterwhelm. So it started out with the Scottish Edge grant in 2019. And one of the main points was the first pilot plant commissioning at the Veolia site in Seafield, Edinburgh. That was in 2021. And this year we'll be looking to scale up the technology. So we will be building our first commercialized system this year. And that's where we are at the moment. Our future clients, we've had discussions with some really big water and energy companies that can see the benefits of this technology. Many of these companies are presently using reverse osmosis, but they see the benefit of producing more water, especially in water scarce areas. So here are Water1's projections based on the commercialization this year and on the demand projections that we're getting at the moment. We're currently raising 2.5 million. For these aspects, and we've already raised 1.3 million. So if you'd like to join us on this journey, please come and see us afterwards. Also, as an end note, apologies, Edward, I didn't mention this, but I would just like to say to the viewers potentially at home who are students, who are struggling with studies, with anxiety, I'd just like to say to them, it takes time, but there can be a better time after that. Thank you very much.
Amazing, Richard. And I think what Richard told that story in one of our storytelling sessions in week 6. And I swear I was almost crying the way he was telling it through. So well done to Richard for getting up here, tackling those challenges and delivering what was a fantastic pitch. So I think we're on to our penultimate pitch for today. So who are we going to speak to, Laura?
So our very clever audience might guess the nationality of the next speaker thanks to this very subtle clue. I do apologize for the really poor quality of this intro, but it was getting late last night. And we're running out of jokes, especially Eduardo does not drink.
Okay, well, fair enough. Maybe I'll take over from here. So although these pioneers are lovely in French, like our colleague Laura, they're actually from London, and they are developing a future wave energy conversion technology with some amazing innovation behind it.
That's right. And considering we're just 3 kilometers away from the beach, next time, in a near future, hopefully, when you're enjoying your ice cream on the beach, you might be very well be standing next to shores of power.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Clément from WaveX.
Thank you. I am Clément Puech, and at WaveX we are pioneering. So I am Clément Puech, and at WaveX we're pioneering a revolutionary approach to working under the seabed to generate clean, sustainable electricity from waves. Coastlines are a beautiful environment that we humans struggle to harness. So far we have tried to manage these dynamic environments by constraining nature, and we have failed. In a fluid environment, rigid structures don't do well. They either get damaged by storms or damage the environment in which they are built. Nature uses a much softer approach. In nature, the seabed decides what happens to the waves. On a bumpy seabed, waves will be redirected by sandbars. And on a soft seabed, wave energy can be absorbed. The question is, can we install solutions ourselves that mimic those natural behaviors? Well, with WaveX, the answer is yes, and the solution lies with this guy, the stargazer fish. He's actually one of the best coastal engineers on the planet. With just a small jet of water and by moving its body, it's able to liquefy sediments around it and effortlessly bury itself under them. Oh, sorry the video is not playing so well, but I think you get the idea. And it's from this technology that we were able to develop WaveX, flexible membranes that bury themselves like big remote-controlled fish. Our devices operate at the seabed level, away from the destructive power of storms. We use pressure variations caused by passing waves to generate electricity. Power generation relies on a proven principle that we can make much more affordable thanks to not using big metallic structures. The result is that we're able to generate electricity at the unbeatable price of only 4 pence per kilowatt hour, which is cheaper than what we currently pay for fossil fuel energy and much cheaper than current renewables. This also allows energy companies to further phase out oil and gas production, saving over 100 million tons of CO2 annually with WaveX technology globally. And there are plenty of locations worldwide where we can deliver these big impacts. In fact, there are over 40,000 kilometers of coastline with the correct sediment types and wave results for our technology. Our business model is simple. With outsourced manufacturing and installation, we can scale the business very quickly. And we sell two things to project developers, physical devices and operation software subscriptions. Which brings us to our beachhead market, which in our case literally is the few hundreds of meters away from the beach, where we will first power and deploy sensors for scientists. Then from there we will scale our devices to provide electricity directly to the grid in the UK, where there is a feed-in tariff of 24 pence per kilowatt hour for wave energy. And finally, we will scale geographically to sell our devices and technology to project developers worldwide. We're a team of 5, led by our shared passion for coastal environments and for the technological challenges of our time. Together, we bring 10 years of experience in the energy industry and the experience of creating several successful startups in the past. Some vital expertise required here is knowing how to work with flexible structures under the seabed. As this is a new area of engineering, we are currently working ourselves to generate this knowledge. And through this work, we have been able to demonstrate so far our innovation in numerous lab experiments as well as beach field tests, filing 2 patent applications along the way. We have also showcased our work in a number of events, and most notably, we have won the European final of the Climate Launchpad and the grand final of the Venture Catalyst Challenge organized by Imperial College. Now, what's next? Next month, we will demonstrate the performance of our solution in wave tanks at Imperial College, who offers us very generous support. And we will also seek pre-seed funding to deploy MVPs of the coast with Environment Agency. Then we will install full-scale pilots in the UK, presumably under powerful Scottish waves. And after that, we will start commercializing and scaling globally. Now, why continue fighting our oceans when all we have to do is learn from them? Thank you for your time, and please do contact us if you want to know more or would like to help in any way.
Thank you, Clément. That was a fantastic job to everyone so far. So I think we're on to our last pitch of the day.
Oh my goodness. Now, I was thinking long and hard about how we introduce this next one because it is quite it's the end of the show. We've got to have a nice ending here. And I was thinking of one very memorable moment on the program that the pioneers might understand, but the audience, maybe you'll have to ask about it afterwards. So here we go. Here's my grand introduction. There once was a man called Roderick who blew in from a kite from Lerwick. He wrote poetry about energy that was far too rude to be read in public.
He's done it!
We'll give it a go. There we go.
Well done. So our next pioneer has chosen an engineering career over his poetry debut. Thank goodness for that. And he's designed a very, very innovative way of harnessing the power of the wind.
So, to present our final pitch, to blow you all away, please welcome Roddy from Windswept Energy!
Woo! Thank you. It's going to be an innovative pitch as well. Okay. Wind turbines are upside down. You don't have to risk blowing your shoulder out to find that out. You can do it for yourself. You can learn it in your own sinews. Next time you go shopping, just carry your shopping home like this, because that's what a wind turbine is doing. But, naturally, what you're doing is typically this. You've got your arm in line with the forces, and that's much more efficient. And the thing about wind turbines is, we're trying to scale them and make them really big. And if I was trying to scale myself up 20 times, I'd be 8,000 times the mass. And that's really not so efficient. So we need to introduce the superpower of string here. So if I was to walk, say, 100 kilometers this way, I'd be able to reach Dundee, and I'd still be able to pull that load all that way. It's an incredible thing, ultra high molecular weight polyethylene. So we're making networks of this stuff, and it's like the tensile networks that we have in our shoulders. We're transmitting power over distance. We can get kites very high into the sky. And what we do is we team these kites together, kind of like a tug of war. We put multiple elements of just perfect sized blades to work in the perfect place in the kite power window very smoothly and autonomously. Now, that again was a tensile network, but the original inventor of the tensile network was a spider. And in their patent, they said that these are super robust structures that allow you to sense all the way across the network anything coming onto it, anything happening across it, and feel that energy right through it. But you'll see, even they're very robust as they can handle damage, and you can still work with that system. And it's the same with us. We array lines. We put them all the way across. We put multiple elements on, and that makes our blades very efficient in that they're flying these big circles. We also fly these things day and night. This system on the left, you can see here, is the world's most efficient wind turbine in terms of power to weight ratio. That one's working at it's under 2 kilograms of mass in the air, and it's generating over 1.5 kilowatts of power. But we can scale them, as you can see on the right. Did I say left and right wrong there? And this one was at a scout camp. They're very portable. Ask young Findlay later on about that. But they're also incredibly clean because of how lightweight they are. So we reckon we'll be getting 0.7 grams of CO2 equivalent per kilowatt hour generated on the final systems. Now, we don't want to harm any scouts in deploying these things, so what we're doing is automating it instead. And we have a two-step process in that. We launch a lift kite, we launch the turbine. You can bring it all back down to do your servicing on the ground. And it's incredibly lightweight because we don't need control structures in this autogyro system. Now, we've got an incredible team of experts. We've got world-leading experts on all sorts of aspects, and we have the support Shell Game Changer. We're in phase 2 of collaboration with them at the moment. We've got Highlands and Isles Enterprise helping us with funding. We've got Airborne Wind Europe who are helping us with all sorts of aspects of the deployment, air safety. And we've got Shetland Islands Council who are helping us with airspace. Now, this is a ridiculously crowded slide, but we want to get you on there too. We want to squeeze some more businesses up there. That's why we're here. But it's not about us. This is what we want. We want happy farmers. We're going to scale up to a 50 kilowatt system. We're testing the automation of it this year, and we're going to be saving these people a fortune on wind power because these devices will come in at a quarter of the price of a standard 50 kilowatt system. And that's the 50 kilowatts is the MVP that we reckon is appropriate to release at. And according to BVG Associates in their white paper this year, which you all read, it's we could expect to be selling about 3,000 of these in the EU by 2030. So that'll be pretty healthy for Windswept. Here's where it's all going to start on the automation though. We're up in Shetland. And yeah, we'll be spinning kites in those circles there. Would love you to come and visit, of course. Come and collaborate, come and do that. Check us out, windswept.energy. We'll be running an EIS round soon. So that collaboration would be great. But I do have to warn you at this point, kites can go up as well as down. And all contracts with kites have strings attached. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rodi. Well, there we have it. That's the end of all our pitches, our 12 pitches.
And the end of our jokes, hopefully. Yeah, surely that's done.
That's for that. So, right. So they've all done a fantastic job, as you can see. And now it's time for our second Q&A panel. But remember, online audience, if you're still here, you can still post your question, keep them coming. In the room, you can put up your hand and ask your questions. And if anyone wants to find out a little bit more about these technologies, go on the Net Zero Technology Center website and on our LinkedIn page to find out more by reading the showcase brochure.
Perfect. I think it's time for us to welcome in our pioneers. So coming up, round 2 pioneers, take a seat onto the stage, get thinking of some questions, and we'll find out what they have to say, putting them on the spot And if you need to shuffle your seats, this is a good opportunity to do that while we're getting ready.
Excellent. So welcome on stage, Dr. Matthew Pierce from Purifier Labs.
Welcome, Dr. Richard Wood from Waterwell.
And Roderick Red from Windswept Energy.
We've got Olivia Bourdin from WaveX.
That was butchered.
I attempted. Sorry.
Aranzazu Carmona Orbezo from Parallel Carbon.
Now you're just showing off. And we've got Dr. Daniel Indiana Carlotta Jones from Wastewater Fuels. Welcome, welcome, everyone. Okay, shall we start in the room? Do we have any questions for our panel at this point? Who's going to be brave and go first? Oh, excellent.
Thanks very much. Is this on?
Oh.
I have a question for Dr. Jones, because I'm so fascinated by waste treatment, of course. From the first image, it looked like the existing solution is quite a dumb, just large tank that you're aerating, which seems like a very simple solution, whereas your solution is quite complex. And I understand there are advantages of modularity in terms of, probably in terms of how the microorganisms are working and things as well. I was just wondering what the lifetime of these units is, and what is your end-of-life solution? Because if you're going from a big, dumb tank down to a large number of very complex assemblies that have, I understand there's carbon fiber as well, which is notoriously difficult to recycle. And if you're using pyrolysis or solvolysis, it's harmful to the environment as well. So lifetime, and what is your end-of-life solution?
So just on the carbon fiber, really good question. So in my engineering doctorate, I decided to find a way to find an anode that was cheaper, which happened to be recycled carbon fiber. And that's what we're using now. So it's a waste product that we're stopping from going to landfill. So that's that question. When it comes to the big dumb tank, yeah, it's literally a jacuzzi from hell. And what we're saying is we're just going to put in these rods that we manufacture. Now, the beauty of how we manufacture them is every single technique that we use to manufacture this are using techniques we've been using since the Industrial Revolution. So stamping, forming. We're based in Coventry, which is near a relatively unknown car manufacturer called Jaguar Land Rover. And there's loads of people that manufacture things in the area. And what we do is we partner with them to try and come up with ways to make this possible. Ultimately, in the lab, when you have a lot of people who worked in academia on this technology, they're like, oh, right, I've made a system that's like 1,000,000% efficient. And then as soon as I make it bigger, it falls over. So all the questions you've raised are exactly the problems we've had with this technology for 20 years. And that's what we're trying to resolve. So hopefully we've solved it. But I guess we'll find out as we go on.
Excellent, thank you. Is there another question in the audience, please? Pop your hand up if you would like to ask a question. We've got carbon capture, wind energy. Yeah.
Hi, Bina Sharma, CCU International. Quick question to the two carbon capture companies. Existing technologies are notoriously expensive to run. I wanted to know two quick questions. What is your energy consumption in comparison to traditional amine technologies? And secondly, what is your carbon efficiency? Have you done a full life cycle analysis, and have you compared that carbon efficiency to existing technologies?
Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you, Dan. So yeah, great question, Bina. So as you probably were able to see a little bit on our slides, we have to divide our energy intensity and the amount of energy that we're using too, specifically because we have the part of the hydrogen production and the DAC. So you were able to see, so for the hydrogen, we're talking about 55 kilowatt hour per kilogram of hydrogen. And for the DAC, we're talking around 1.2 megawatt hour per ton of CO2. So I know that those are very technical numbers, but between those two technologies, we're in the mid-range for both of them. But what we're really excited is the possibilities that this hydrogen unlocks. And that answers a little bit the second question that you made, because we actually went through a very deep life cycle analysis through part of this program. And we were really happy to see that having that extra hydrogen not only really help us to have and diversify our revenues, but also gives us almost double of the carbon, of the climate impact. So at the end, we are able to, in the balance sheet of everything, so we're actually removing more than 1.5 tons of equivalent tons of CO2 with the entire system, like by what we're doing. So we're really excited about that.
Thank you. Can we get a microphone to Matthew, please? Oh, Olivia, yeah.
Thank you for your question. We are between 30 to 40% cheaper in terms of the kilowatt hours that we go into producing our unit cost energy. And we've done an extensive life cycle analysis, which we submitted. Compared to diesel, for example, we're over 80% less carbon emissions. And we also reduce the amount of nitrous oxides, sulfur oxides, particulates and microparticulates that are very contaminating for respiratory diseases. So we've got multiple benefits, as well as being a net producer of a low carbon form of energy in the form of methanol, which is highly competitive with hydrogen and ammonia, which themselves have some issues. We're members of the Methanol Institute, and we believe that methanol has got a great drop-in fuel aspect for going forward into low-carbon fuels technologies.
Thank you very much. Do we have an online question, Laura?
All right, there's a question for Windswept Online. Thank you, Rod, for your speech. We see that on your presentation you have the support of Airborne Wind Association. Are there some leading experts in wind that are supporting airborne wind turbines?
Yeah, I mean, we've got them. We've got Peter Jameson and Hong Yu in our team, and Ollie is really leading the way in. Like Peter Jameson wrote the book on wind energy scalability. Yeah, and also in Airborne Wind Europe, they've done so much work on scaling single kite systems, but we use these multi ones as well, which have been shown again to be far more efficient in operation. So yeah, great scalability in them. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, some more in the room. Let's put them on the spot. Any other questions? Pop your hands up. Oh, yes, one over there, please.
We've got the microphone for Windswept. I just wondered, I would have imagined that there might be sort of fairly complex kind of control mechanisms required for that type of system. Would that be correct, or is it actually more straightforward than it might look?
I mean, we made them out of toys initially, so it's just tied up together as a simple auto gyro. And so by networking the kites, you remove all the control surfaces that you would have in a normal wing. It's just a really simple tensile structure because it's expanding, it's all holding together and all rotating in one.
Lovely, thank you. You got an online one more?
There's one online for WaveX. Your technology, you mentioned in your technology presentation that you have patents. Does that concern the technology itself or the process? And if yes, how are you actually protecting the technology?
Thank you for the question. It concerns both the device and the process. We are the only company working with flexible devices under the sand, which is a granular medium, as you would know, and we're protecting the way to install and operate a flexible structure under the seabed and controlling it both to change where and how waves break and to pick up energy.
Thank you very much. Some questions? Anyone got a passion for desalination? Want to throw Ali a question? Is he here? Or Richard, sorry, he's up here. Yes.
Go ahead. There is actually one that just popped online for Waterwhelm. So, sorry. Forward osmosis has been tried before, but not really successful. How can you ensure that you have a successful process? What is this? Energy efficient process.
The reason it wasn't successful previously is because of basically regenerating the draw solution. So we've developed an innovative draw solution that is removed from water very easily. Similar to past desalination waste heat processes where you would use a lot of energy to vaporize water. We're not vaporizing the water, we're vaporizing the draw solution from the water. So we're taking the draw solution from the water, rather than taking the water from the draw solution. And the draw solution itself is evaporated very easily. So we've developed this draw solution, which is a major step forward. And also we've developed our forward osmosis membranes. So that was another previous issue. So both those issues have more or less now been solved, with recognition from Veolia, of course, who have supported us as well. So we're looking forward to more forward osmosis in the future.
Excellent. We've got a couple of minutes left to earn your lunch. Anyone got any final questions for our panel? Be a free sandwich in it for you. Oh, yes, we've got one here and then one at the front.
Hey, Caroline Roberts from Astroma. Question for WaveX. So I see the technology is intentionally kind of disturbing and going under the seabed to settle itself. But the seabed itself is very mobile itself. How do you guarantee that it's not going to become uncovered, or is it maybe not a problem if it becomes uncovered and get carried, affected by the mobile seabed?
Oh, thank you very much for the question. It's actually the main difficulty to solve, the fact that the seabed is shifting. We need to do two things: to monitor what's happening on top of the device, how much sand there is on top of it, how much water on top of that. And it took us 1 year to achieve that, but we're able to monitor this. And also we need to adapt. So we need to, or like a big remote control fish, to act a bit like a sand submarine, to adjust its position up and down within the seabed. And we are able to do that. So if there is erosion or accretion, we can adapt the position of the device within the seabed. Thank you very much.
Okay, and was there one more at the front, I think? Just wait for the microphone.
Are we on? Yeah. One for our dear friend here with his case. The area of Cambridgeshire I live in is a military hotspot. We've got some of the biggest air bases: Lakenheath, Mildenhall, Honington, Marham, Stansted, everything. So we've got major aircraft flight routes, all flying low, some of them below 1,000 feet, crisscrossing the particular area I live in, Cambridgeshire. So you've got a beauty with your system would be to, if you could grid your system, you could do it anywhere away from these areas, and in areas where you've got coastal wind and other things, which would be very advantageous for you. Have you been looking at that as a possibility?
Yes, thanks. First of all, I've got a brother in the RAF, so I have to offset his emissions. He's a shocker. He also has a company with a very similar name, so yeah, we've got beef. Yeah. And yes, we've been working on a network system. There's a wide network system, but we're focusing on our 50 kilowatt system just now. In terms of permanent kite area deployment, there's a process with the CAA for going through that and getting it designated on the maps. You don't have to go through the NOTAMs process that way. And we're also working with the U-Space development done by Airborne Wind Europe on integrating our systems with the new through their SORA framework on just getting that automated deployment signaling through the network so that anyone will know if they're flying that these systems are there. You get the right transponders and stuff in it as well. Yeah.
Great. And much like we did in the first round, we'll maybe do a final question, but I think maybe around Sandan, because you haven't answered more recently. So best highlight moment on the program to Ran Sandan.
Well, it's a little bit hard to choose, but I have to say that just being able to interact with these guys, these other amazing 11 pioneers, it has been such a great experience and growing experience for me as well. And I have to say that the only thing that I would like to say and invite more people is that, as you can see, it's not that diverse in terms of gender. I am the only woman on the cohort, so I really invite, and if you're looking also from home and you really want to develop an idea, you're a woman in science and you're a woman entrepreneur, I really invite you to be part of this type of programs, because you not only get to meet amazing people, you also get to challenge yourself and grow yourself. And I think I've been actually able to de-accelerate the way I speak. So it has been very helpful for the pitching and to get myself understood. And I want to thank these guys for such an amazing opportunity.
That's a tough act to follow. I think for me, the biggest thing was around the communication of science. I always thought I was pretty good at it, but then I came here and got told by AB15 how bad I am at it. So I think it's the learning about the communication and storytelling in business and in science for me.
Amazing.
Very good.
Thank you very much. Keep your seats for a second, because that brings us to the end of round one and demo day. So a round of applause for all of our pioneers who have pitched so far. Well done, all of you. Now, me and Laura, we've been teasing it all day, but if you didn't know, that is all 12 pitches, which means pitch of the day voting is now open. So for those of you who are watching on LinkedIn, you'll hopefully see a different Mentimeter code than you've used from the questions. And for those of you who are in the room, on the screens around you for the remainder of the day, please scan those QR codes and you get to choose which one of these fantastic 12 pitches was your favorite.
Yes, exactly. And so what we'll be doing now is that we're about to break for lunch. So everybody in the room, what you will do, we'll show you the way, but you make your way to the second floor and where networking and lunch will be served. For the ones that are watching us online, you can take a break, have your lunch as well if you want, but please don't go too far, because we'll be back in the room for the graduation ceremony and to see all these awards and cash prizes that they're going to walk with.
Amazing. So have a fantastic lunch. Thank you all for coming here. Please stay around for our graduation. More than £200,000 worth of prizes to give out. So we'll see you back in the room or online at 2:20 p.m. UK time. See you later. Goodbye.
That was hell, wasn't it? So let's do take two. Welcome back, everyone, to our graduation. A very warm welcome to you in the room and online. And this is our Cohort 5 TechX graduation event. So it's a really exciting time. And we've heard this morning in demo day from our 12 fantastic pioneers and what brilliant pitches they were. And I hope you've all had a chance to vote for your pitch of the day. If you haven't, I'm afraid it's too late, but you will find out later who has won that. So I hope you've felt really, really inspired this morning listening to those pitches. I think it was a dazzling display of ingenuity. And those of us who watched these companies pitch to come on the program in Finalist Pitch Day know how much they've progressed and what progress they've made. It's been stunning, really, and a great revelation. So those startups have been working so hard the last 15 weeks. And some of the sort of statistics are quite, highly impressive. So they've raised $750,000 of equity funding since starting the program. They've been hiring left, right, and centre. And this is a first. We've even had our first piece of M&A activity ever in a cohort before, and one pioneer has merged with another small company and has almost doubled its size as a result, and hopefully primed itself for success. So they've benefited from fantastic support from our strategic partners here. We've got them in the room. From Accenture, our professional services partner, we got them in the room too. From our delivery partners, we got many of them in the room. From our mentors, one of them flew in from Dallas to be here today. So that's a fantastic effort. Round of applause, please. And our associate partners and the other partners we appreciate it so much. And without you, of course, we couldn't do this, and we couldn't give our 12 pioneers this fantastic experience. So thanks to you all, and we look forward to celebrating their success this afternoon with the awards and with these fantastic cash prizes we have on offer. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to you, Myrtle.
So I did have a speech written, but the presentations and the delivery this morning made me feel a bit boring. So I thought, well, I'm just going to dispatch with that. I actually didn't vote for a pitch of the day. I'd love to, but because I was bribed by Messpack with the chocolate in front of all of you, even though I disposed of the evidence, I felt my integrity would be forever up for grabs. So I thought, well, no. So I just want to say I've been amazed at the progress as well, and I am asked from time to time, all the time, about whether or not this journey we're on for 2045 or 50 or 2030x that I heard last week, whether or not it makes sense. And I think for me, when we're sitting here, when you're looking at the birth of all these technological ideas, the birth of all these teams, it's really difficult to be cynical and say it's not happening. It really feels like it's active. And, I just really, well, as I said to someone, if I had £1 million, I'd be investing today, but I don't. Got £1,000. So yeah, anyone who needs that, they can have that from me. So that would be good. But I did want to thank, I really do want to thank the team for making this super, super exciting. And, so I'm working with technology all the time, and this really was brought to life for me today. And I was also asked to give some advice on what would I advise the pioneers, and I had the standard advice. Thank you, Ryan. However, I did feel that when I listened to the feedback on what people had got from the actual program, I felt I don't need to give any advice. The advice has been given. I think it's been people have met each other, they've sparked off each other, they've managed to do M&A. When I listened to the fantastic growth, and again, the technology and the approach to some of the problem solving is amazing. So just wish you all the best. As I said, I've got £1,000 to invest, and anyone who needs that can approach me. Thank you very much.
Well,
we're back! Yay!
With new costumes on. Well, this is it. That's the last day of the accelerator. And what a journey. Oh, I know. Don't be too sad.
I honestly can't believe it. It has been an incredible journey. And thank you, as Mark says, to those who submitted your votes. If you didn't get the chance, it is too late. The vote is closed, and we will find out very, very soon.
But before that, we are going to celebrate every single one of the 12 pioneers to start the celebrations.
Definitely. And while this might unfortunately be the end of the accelerator and they don't have to wake up every Monday to Thursday to our faces, very sad for them. It is only just one of the milestones on the journey that these companies will go through. It is a phenomenal journey of progress that they are going through, and we are so excited. And unfortunately, it's also not the end of their TechX journey, because they can't get rid of us that easily. They will be probably pestered, invited, celebrated, cheered, supported by us as they continue to grow and be part of our growth program post today as well. So don't worry, you still have us around.
And let's have a little reflection on the journey. So taking part of TechX, as they can tell you, is a huge commitment. Time commitments, resource commitment is a lot of emotions and work going on into very, very, very intense 15 weeks. So it all starts by staring at a screen, dreaming of this 100,000 pounds, and start working on their applications.
Well, of course, then the lights, camera, action come out as the videos get sorted, and they have to edit and they have to put forward those applications to make sure they get them filled and submitted in time.
Right, and those applications get cruelly chopped down by a team of technical assessors. Lots of you are in the room today, actually, and some online, hopefully. And then that's really where we decide on the finalists, and the finalists pitched live virtually in front of a judging panel.
It's worse than a job interview, Laura. This is intense, my goodness, non-stop. But the prize is much better, because once you get through that interview and you get that delightful call from one of the team to say you're part of the TechX program, that's where the fun begins. You start signing those agreements, you start meeting the pioneers, and you start this intense journey. We say it's intense on day one, but I'm pretty sure now the pioneers really understand what that word actually means.
That's true, because when week 1 came around in February, they all arrived in damp and cold Aberdeen, shivering, wondering why they were here. But actually, the fun started really quickly. They started meeting the other pioneers on the cohort. They started having brainstorming sessions, doing some networking already with the alumni of the program as well. And that was just the start, of course, without forgetting a bit of Kelly dancing in Irish bars. Some of you
Of course. Definitely, I'm ready for the Irish and Scottish dancing this time. We started a Cayley in week 1, so let's see how we do this time. But they also had to go through a lot of challenges, not least the doomed dice and the wheel of names, which, if you don't know, every morning we get the pioneers up for our daily briefing to explain what's going on in the day. And as they've just woken up, they're stretching, they're getting onto their laptops for a virtual session. They've literally just had a coffee. That's when we put them on the spot. They roll the dice and they might get that dreaded 6, which means they're up and pitching straight away first thing in the morning. So we put them through their paces right from day 1.
And I think some of us have not forgiven, some of them have not forgiven us for that yet. So from then on, it just doesn't stop, right? It's online sessions, it's homework, loads and loads of homework, it's one-to-one sessions. And of course, before you know it, it's time to come back to Aberdeen on their week 6. And they arrive here as a little bit warmer this time. And they have a very, very, very packed week of storytelling and communication training. And we heard some really interesting things, including a story involving a killer mackerel. I won't name anyone here in the cohort. You can ask at the break.
There are so many amazing times that we've had over these 15 weeks. We have laughed together, we have danced together, we have transformed your businesses together. It's been a really fantastic cohort. And to give you an insight as to what we've had a front row seat to, let's take a look back on cohort 5.
So we decided to apply for TechX because we were in a very exciting moment. We were just raising our seed round and we were getting ready to expand our team and scale up our technology.
We're really looking for beyond net zero. We want to achieve true zero emissions. And we thought that the team that was pulling together was really aligned with our values.
We really wanted to move fast through the TRL, but also get advice and feedback from customers on what we were doing to make sure it really meets their needs.
It has a lot of partners that are really involved in the program, and the connections we can get from that are really important to our business and furthering what we're trying to do.
It's been a fantastic opportunity to cross-reference all the material, our ideas and our thoughts, to make sure that our strategy makes sense and the vision of what we're trying to build aligns with what people really need.
I think the highlight for me has been meeting all the startups that have been involved in the program.
I think the highlight's actually been the last couple of days, working with real world leading experts in communication, refining how we talk about our ideas and getting it out into the public and the customers.
Right at the start of the program, these entrepreneurs come with a fantastic idea, but through the process, they build their confidence, they're being able to pitch stronger, they're getting lots of tools and resources. And by the end, the most rewarding part for our TechX team is seeing how far these ideas and businesses have come through the process.
The startups have really excelled over the past 15 weeks, taking on learnings from the program, but also from each other, and really creating that sense of community.
Whatever they do going forward in terms of having to hire staff, having to get investment, this gives them a special way of being able to do that.
This is just the beginning for our pioneers, as it is with all of our TechX startups.
Their journey is going to continue. They're going to join our thriving ecosystem as part of our TechX growth program and continue to access support and resources to help us accelerate our transition to net zero.
So many memories, Laura, wasn't it?
It was absolutely amazing. What a laugh every day, and how much we've been amazed by these pioneers all along these 15 weeks we cannot even describe.
So it is time to recognize all of those amazing pioneers, and to do that, we're going to be handing out this year's Pioneer Awards. So I'd like to invite Mark, our Chief Acceleration Officer and TechX Director, back up to the stage to hand out these awards, and we're going to announce each of our different pioneers to graduate them. The journey is over. You made it. Well done. So, are we ready? Laura, let's start off. Oh, you've lost your microphone. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. Who's up first?
All right. Our first pioneer is Aqua Ocean. Actually, yes.
Excellent. Now, second up, we have Electrogenos. Woo! Freeze, because Electrogenos don't move anywhere. We have a special announcement. Because earlier this week, we took all of our pioneers up to the BP offices in Dice, where they got to meet with a variety of staff across the BP office and network, and they were able to vote, those staff, for which pioneer company engaged them and interested them the most. So the prize for this is a 1-hour conversation with VP of Transformation at BP, Dushyant Sharma. Dushyant, would you please come up to the stage? Because if you hadn't guessed it, Electrogenos won that competition.
Take a picture with me.
Thank you very much.
Just
please.
one second, just come back in. Just as you heard what the prize was, i.e. an hour with me, you may have looked a little bit disappointed. So for that, for that I apologise, but don't worry because Myrtle is £1,000. Okay, thank you.
Sorry, and our next one is Fluxart. Excellent.
Woo! Okay, next up we have Hydrowheel. Woo!
And now next one on the list, we have Messpack.
Great work, Messpack. Next up, please give a round of applause for Myriad Wind Energy Systems.
Sorry. And our next pioneer is Parallel Carbon. Well done.
Next up, please give a round of applause for Purifier Labs.
And applaud again, yay!
That's engineers for you.
And the next one on stage will be wastewater fuels.
Well done, Dan. Please welcome Waterwhelm.
And our penultimate pioneer, WaveX.
Congratulations. Well done. Congratulations.
And last but by no means least, please welcome Windswept Energy.
All right. And now we're going to be a little bit more serious here.
As serious, is that possible at this point?
Yeah, we're trying at
We'll
least.
try.
So it's time now for our Strategic Partner Prizes Award. So those ones are very important to the Pioneer, and they've actually provided a significant amount of work and effort towards these prizes. The reason for that is the focus of the TechX program is technologies that can decarbonize our industry and help a better future. So one of the big KPI we're measuring here is to know exactly what is the potential impact the work that we're doing at the Net Zero Technology Centre has on Scotland, the UK, and the world in general. So this is a very important piece of the program. They have had to put in very, very detailed written submissions on exactly what they thought that the impact of their technologies could have. And that's a very detailed life cycle analysis. And that's also a very, very accurate, as much as they can, estimation of the greenhouse gas savings that their technology can either directly provide or enable.
So to present these awards, we're going to invite a representative from each of our fantastic strategic partners who have been there throughout the whole programme, supporting from assessments to judging to, of course, the prizes at the end. So from Equinor, please welcome Jeroen van de Hoek, please up to the stage. From ADNOC, please welcome Alvaro Escorcia. And from BP, please welcome Dushan Sharma.
And first, Jeroen van der Hoek from Equinor will say a few words.
Thank you. You almost pronounced my name correctly. It's Jeroen van der Hoek. I'm an investment manager in Equinor Ventures, and I've had the pleasure of being part of TechX program representing Equinor for the past 3 years. And I must say it's been a lot of fun. It shouldn't just be about fun, of course. There's a good reason we're here as well. Some serious reasons why we're here. But yeah, it's been fun working with our strategic partners, ADNOC, BP, and also working with the entire TechX team. It's amazing work they've done, and Accenture. But the main reason that we're participating here in this program is that climate change is a big issue. And it forms the basis for decisions being made by governments, societies, and companies going forward. And all the strategic partners here today, they have a net zero ambition for 2050. So the energy landscape is changing rapidly. There's a lot of innovation required, and we feel that that innovation will come from startup companies. They operate very differently than us big majors. So we like to work together with these disruptors, these innovators, and collaborate with these young entrepreneurs, because we feel they have a lot to give to us. Yeah. So it's been, I think, a lot of work put in by the entire team here, especially by the pioneers. I guess they put in the most effort, and I hope they learned a lot on the road. We definitely did as strategic partners. Yeah. So we certainly learned a lot along the road. We've been inspired, but I hope we could also give something back to the startups. So we've had to spend a lot of time with them in meetings. We've had customer discovery meetings. We've had investor meetings, just meetings with technical experts, subject matter experts. And I hope we've discussed business models, business cases, the technology itself, of course. And I hope that it was a bit of use for the pioneers as well. And from what I heard today, I think that is actually the case. So that's fantastic. But it's been, I think, so we had this competition where we have to decide who wins these two prizes, the Net Zero Impact Awards. So we did a thorough evaluation of all the pioneers. I think we spent many hours evaluating all their assessments. So we went through that. We had interviews with the pioneers, and in addition, we had to assess the feasibility of all the information they gave us, because some of them were rather positive in how much emissions they thought they would save the world, and others a bit too pessimistic, we thought. But they've done a great job. And even though we had to select two winners in the end, I think we all agree that all of the pioneers today, they are all working and they will all help make this world a better place for us to live in. So I think I can talk on forever, but I guess everyone wants to hear who won the prize in the end. So I guess I can hand over who was going to be first. Alvaro, thank you. The first prize.
Thank you very much, Aaron. Thanks again, first of all, for the privilege of inviting me to present this first award for the strategic partners. Two words on behalf of ADNOC. One, we're very committed to the targets of net zero that we have pledged, not only ADNOC, but our country, the UAE. Second, we are very committed to work with the startups to deliver our targets. Over the last 2 years, we have shifted around completely our portfolio of projects from the group technology down to the point that 80% of our projects today are either with startups. One of them, by the way, is TechX, Pioneer. Universities, research institutions, and companies we never worked with before, ever. 2 years, the entire ADNOC group. Secondly, over the last 2 years, we have launched 3 very significant pilot programs for decarbonization, capture, and mineralization, for example. We just proved feasibility of geothermal in the country last week, as it was announced 3 weeks ago in Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week. We are now working into figuring out the best way to scale it up all over the country. And third, we just announced during the UAE Tech Week, Clean Tech event, the deployment and design of a very smart battery and energy management system, autonomous, very advanced, with potential 50% savings in cost and 25% efficient reduction in drilling rigs operation. So all of this is with startup, all of them. None of them was done without startups. So this is an evidence of walking the talk. At the moment, like I said, we have one TechX graduate already engaged in a key pilot right now with CCS in 2 sites. We're in advanced conversations with another one to close the proof of concept by the end of the year. And we hope to get at least 2 out of this group on the ground, because our objective is put the thing on the ground, proving that this thing is possible. Thank you very much. So let us say who do have their name, because I don't know who won it. What is Paul? Fluxart.
Come on. That's amazing.
Congratulations. Excellent job. Fantastic.
Thank you. Can I just a couple of words. I don't know how to thank everyone for what's in my hand, but it's more special for me, for Wager, for Rob. We have between us 7 young kids. We are dreaming of a world where they can fly true zero emissions aircraft in the next 10 years. And for anyone who's got kids, we hope to deliver for you as well. It's so important to us to be able to do the connections. You can see we're a diverse team. We've got Min as well from China, from Sri Lanka. Peggy is from Peru. We have a huge team behind us that's been here. And I just want to say one special one for my wife, who's from Argentina. And it means a lot for her to have this in my hands. So thank you. Thank you.
Okay. £100,000 to Fluxart. Congratulations. But can you believe it? As if that wasn't enough, we have another £100,000 to give out today. And I'm pleased to say, Dushyant, over to you to introduce our second winner of the Best Net Zero Impact Prize.
Thank you. And thanks again for having us here today to represent both ourselves in terms of BP and alongside our very valued strategic partners, ADNOC and Equinor. So I think just in terms of the total ambition, just not talking about BP here specifically, but I think everybody has the same aim. Everybody wants to get there quicker. Society demands it of us. Our people demand it of us. The environment demands it of us. And frankly, the planet demands it of us. So we all have a part to play in this. And when we look at budding pioneers with such entrepreneurial spirit and great ideas, and yesterday as we hosted them in our BP DICE offices, just in some ways the simplicity of what they were trying to do, you often think to yourself, why did I not think of that? But that's why they are doing what they are doing. And it's just immense to see. I did say this to the pioneers yesterday when they were in the offices with us, and I'll say it once again to you. I guess you're all in this corner here, right? Is that where the pioneer corner is at? All right. So I said this, and I'll just repeat this again for you because it's really meant from deep within. You're on a fantastic journey, irrelevant of whoever wins the prizes. There's 2 prizes to give out. But what each and every one of you is doing, the personal sacrifice, we've just obviously heard about, what it means to people's families. It doesn't go unnoticed. And your job from today is to keep that going. Don't give up, keep it going, because somewhere at some stage, something definitely will come through. So keep going, keep going, keep going. All right, so on to the awards, the award, I should say. So the judges, as Jeroen and Alvaro have just said, a very thorough process to go through. This particular award for the pioneer that I'm just about to name, just to extend the suspense a little bit, was really based upon a really breakthrough process, if you like, understanding what exists today, understanding how that could be further developed, looking into other areas where low emissions isn't possible just yet in terms of cross-industry, applicable to many of those. And then just the team were just impressed with the startup readiness almost, and where they're at in terms of a clear picture of where they will head as they sort of graduate from here today. So it's with great pleasure that I announce the award to, just extend it a bit, wastewater fuels.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know people love poo as much as I do, but it's really nice to see. To my team, thank you for supporting me to try and get this to get through this TechX for all of us. And my wife Samina and my baby Adriana. I'm sorry I missed you for the past 2 months, not being able to take you, but lots of daddy-daughter time now. And yeah, thank you. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you to our strategic partners. A round of applause. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Fabulous emotion, suspense. We had it all. It's like a proper TV show.
That wasn't in the script. I'm literally going to start crying here, you guys. That's intense.
I'm feeling it too.
It proves just how much effort they've put into this process. So we're super pleased for those who've got awards and everyone who took part. So let's have a look. Oh, have I gone too far? Yes, okay, here we go. So we have one more prize in this section, which does have money attached to it, because it's not just the strategic partners who get the delight of giving out some prizes. It's also the TechX team, where we have a prize worth £2,500 for our TechX Performance Prize.
Yes, and I have to say, this prize is also sponsored by our strategic partner, so thank you. And yeah, we get to decide who gets it, so that's the fun part. So the whole team gathered, and so what we're looking at is, what is the TechX Performance Prize? We want to know and to recognize the pioneer who has been performing the best during the program, and that's in terms of doing their homework, submitting it on time, the quality of it, attending all the sessions, so all the people that we've been chasing by email and phone calls that you know you're not getting it already. Being nice and early, smiley, engaged with the session, supportive to their fellow cohort pioneers. And it was very hard to decide, actually, because we had a very, very, very good cohort this year. I'm not saying that every year, I swear, but it's been very, very hard to decide. So we had to go right down to the statistic, drill down and look at the facts. And I am pleased to announce that we have a winner, and the winner of the TechX Performance Prize this year is MESPAC.
Think how many those chocolates they had to give us for that one. My goodness, so many. And to be fair, it wasn't the only thing.
Yeah, fun fact. This man has brought us a cake on week 6 from Turin called a Colomba. And then all the other pioneers were saying, well, way to go. Now the team is bribed, and guess who's going to get the TechX Performance Award? It worked. It worked.
Okay, so our next one, I'm afraid I'm going to have to steal a card, if that's okay, Laura. This is the bit. When you have award winners, you can't leave things lying about. So we barely got everything printed. So our next award is actually submitted by the pioneers themselves. So we've got a series of awards where the pioneers have been recognizing the people who've supported them throughout the process. So in this one, we're going to be looking at our Partner of the Year. And this is an award. These could be individuals who have run delivery sessions. They could have been part of our supplier network as part of Delivery Partners Day, and they've been able to support the entrepreneurs developing their technologies. Now, the winner this year, and actually, just generally, I should probably say, we have had dozens, probably more than 50 different partners supporting this process, many for free to engage with these entrepreneurs. So honestly, we wouldn't be able to deliver the program without them. So really well done to all of the partners. So a round of applause for all of our partners throughout this year. So the nomination for this year's winner was nominated because they offered unrestricted sharing of experience and have been critical in helping develop the testing for this company's technology. And the pioneer described this company as a perfect fit for their technology development. This year's TechX Partner of the Year is 4C Engineering. Now, they couldn't be here today, but they have provided a short video, so we'll play that just now so you can see what they had to say.
Hi, I'm Andy Hall. I'm the Managing Director of 4C Engineering, and I'd just like to say a huge thank you to the team at TechX and this year's cohort for awarding us the TechX Partner of the Year prize. Sorry that I can't be through in Aberdeen to accept the prize today. Really enjoyed being through earlier this year at the Net Zero Technology Centre when I met with most of you at the Partners Day. It was a really good buzz to the room, really good energy, and I'm sure it'll be even better today with your graduation. When I was through and speaking with the different companies, it was really interesting to hear the range of technologies that are being developed, from generating power or capturing power from wind and water, through to pulling carbon from the air, or developing ways of using hydrogen, giving us power storage and emission-free at the point of use. It's been really interesting to hear from you all. We've been able to work with a few companies looking at ways that we can help them using our technology development experience to help those companies de-risk, plan their development, and hopefully attract future funding. It's been great to see the progress that's been made so far. Hope to see much more of it in the future. Finally, congratulations to you all. I've been involved as a TechX partner for a number of years. We know just how much effort you must have all put in over the past few months or throughout this year. So well done to you all, and all the best for the future. Thanks.
And now to announce the next couple of awards, Mark Anderson is going to do that job.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Ed. So it's now time for our Mentor of the Year awards. We have a pool of about 60 mentors, and they give their time for free to our pioneers. And what a stellar job they do. They coach our pioneers, and we can all see on the TechX team that the difference that makes. They coach them, they help them find new team members, and they give them guidance through, tough times and the better times. They are there as a support. They're there during the program, and many of them are very generous with their time and keep that relationship going over the months and years that follow. And only this week was I having a conversation with a cohort 1 pioneer who was lauding the praises of a particular mentor for helping them tweak their business model. So it's a fantastic relationship. We're so lucky to have these mentors. They're so generous with their time. Many are based in Aberdeen, many are in the room. Others are based out with Aberdeen. So I'd like to invite you all to please show your support for these fantastic mentors. But we do have to choose a winner. Actually, we couldn't. We've actually chosen 2 winners. And these prizes are nominated by the pioneers themselves. So the TechX team don't have anything to do with it. It's the pioneers who vote, and this was their rationale for why this particular mentor should win. They have been super energetic since the very beginning of our conversation. They've a hands-on mentorship style, continuously challenging our assumptions in a positive way to really try to push our company towards the next level. The energy and continuous push they've demonstrated is something unique. So I am delighted to announce our first Mentor of the Year prize to John Straw. Some words about John. He can't be here today, unfortunately, but he's a serial technology entrepreneur, published author and early stage startup investor. He has supported the past 2 cohorts, and he has been mentoring MESPAC this year. So let's hear from John.
So I'd like to thank you for this award. I was a little bit surprised, as indeed was my wife. I've been doing tech startups for 45 years now on both sides of the pond, and I've been lucky enough to start and exit 3 of those for myself. In a portfolio, I think now I've got about 13 investments. There is 3 common denominators around successful entrepreneurs. The first one is having a vision. The second one is a relentless focus on execution. And the third one is having balls that clang, metaphorically or otherwise. And working with Pipeline Sentry, who have just this amazing digital twin, and MESPAC, who have got a vision for mapping the ocean's climate. I think we've got 2 sets of entrepreneurs here that subscribe and are actually executing against those 3. So congratulations to them. Again, thank you for this award, from my wife as well, whose view is that beside every successful man stands an astonished woman. Thank you.
So many congratulations to John. And our next Mentor of the Year prize supported an amazing 5 out of the 12 startups this year. And they've supported startups from the past 3 cohorts. Described by pioneers as, this is quite a long list, I'm stealing you, exceptional, helpful, willing, energetic, humble, outstanding, passionate, I haven't finished, well-connected, eager, and incredible. What a list of adjectives that is. And they inject their energy enthusiasm into every meeting and never reserve any help that they could possibly provide, coming with boundless energy and positivity. So I'm happy to announce that the second winner of our 2023 Mentor of the Year award is to Fernando Hernandez. And Fernando is based in Houston, and he has sent this recording to us.
Hello, everyone. My name is Fernando Hernandez. I'm the chairman of the board for the Society for Low Carbon Technologies. That said, it is indeed a pleasure and a privilege to win the coveted Continued Excellence Mentor of the Year Award, which builds on the 2022 award I won for Mentor of the Year. So I'd like to personally thank the 5 of 12 startups that had their voting confidence in me. So for that, I'm thankful in perpetuity. Now then, without the fear of consequence, and this goes to all the startups, the stakeholders, and the Net Zero Technology Center, we will continue to be victorious in pushing hydrogen, low carbon, and the world of clean technologies forward, because that's who we are. And I close with the Latin phrase, Amat Victoria Coram, which translates to, victory loves preparation. Let's be victorious, let's be bold, but let's remain magnanimous as we proceed forward. Thank you.
Thank you to Fernando. So I'm now going to hand over to Orla.
So with over 100 people voting today for Pitch of the Day, I get to announce who the winner is. Suspense. The winner is MESPAC.
So that brings us to the end of today, the graduation and earlier our demo day. I hope you've had a fantastic day. I've certainly learned a lot and been really, really excited and heartened by what we have to come, what the progress that's been shown and the potential that is clearly there. So thanks so much for joining us here today, whether you're in the room or online. We will be announcing our cohort 6 soon. So if you're a budding startup, please do apply for that when the time comes. Applications will be opening on the 11th of July. And we'd love, Aranza spoke very well on female diversity. We would love more female founders, please. So do apply, particularly if you're a female founder. We had 3 of the 12 companies, this cohort had a female founder with an equity stake, but we would like much, much more. So do apply, all of you. We need your entrepreneurial spirit and flair, whoever you are, and we look forward to seeing your applications. But back to today and cohort 5, we wish you very, very well, cohort 5. You've been a spectacular cohort. We've loved working with you. We've loved learning from you, and we can't wait to see your progress in the months and years ahead and supporting you along the way. So thank you very much to you all, and I wish you very, very well.